The ClevelandMoto podcast is brought to you by Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0.
All right, guys, welcome to episode number 337 of the ClevelandMoto podcast. And everybody's got good microphones today, except John. Oh.
Well, you know what? John makes that one sound good.
But he does make it sound good. John's got good pipes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate that, guys.
He sounds good. Yeah, he just does sound good.
Say
Sounding
WNBC.
good, looking good. It's all good. Bam, 97X, the future of rock and roll.
There you go.
Very nice read. So the reason we've got these extra two Shures is because Chris Franklin, again, fucking legend, decided that two microphones wasn't enough. Nope. No. Well, so he came into the shop yesterday and he picked up his AK-550. That's not a Kalashnikov product.
What caliber was that?
Exactly. It's 5.5. Yeah.
Not 5.6.
No, not 5.6. It's an ultra high velocity round. Nice. It's a 5.5 round. But the AK-550 he picked up because we've had these things on back order for fucking ever. And so we finally got some in and I was like, okay, first of all, this is the man that sent us two microphones. The reason he sent us two microphones is he had heard on our Patreon that we were trying to buy a mixing board, but that Patreon post was rather old and we already have a good mixing board, right? So then he was like, oh, well, I think they've got a good mixing board. He started listening to more episodes and we talked about getting a good board.
Yep.
And then he said, well, then he listened further and he said he heard us shout out for microphones.
Like it was like a 1 minute blip inside of like 30 hours of insanity.
It was, but that's where he's at.
Oh yeah.
Right.
I like this guy.
I have a feeling that this guy might have more than one superpower. So so super cool. He comes by the shop and he picks up his AK. Oh my God.
It's so good.
Holy crap.
Let's talk. Yeah.
What the shit? We're going to talk about that in a second. So he came by and picked his bike up. Super great. The guy's obviously way smarter than I am. And he has many issues to take. He wants to take us to task on several things that we are wrong about.
Okay.
Which means I already love the guy. So that's fucking great. So
I told him, right?
Yeah, I told him, get his ass in here, bring a friend.
My favorite feedback is negative feedback.
Negative feedback.
Yes.
It makes me so happy. So that was super cool. And that's why he got us another set of microphones because he was like, yeah, anything I can do to make the thing that goes in my ear hole sound better.
Wow.
Because you guys sound like shit on those other two mics.
Well, and so we're slowly figuring things out. So today I'm running a different compression setting on the input, which I shouldn't have been doing, but I was trying to make us all a little smoother.
Sure.
But I think already it sounds better than it had. So we're getting it, and the mics sound great. So
you're saying we're already too smooth.
We're too smooth. This is Barry White. We're like Barry White right now.
The velvety goodness, the hippopotamus of love.
Maybe we can get a second. We can get a second act on some ASMR things.
I still fucking hate it. Oh my God. And to my left is
Oscar.
And to his left,
Dan Kroenke.
and to his
Steve Hoffert.
and
John McElfresh.
Chris Smith.
And Steve Sleevey.
and your humble narrator Phil Waters. Now,
What happened with taking like 20 minutes to go through the
I
names
know
and stuff?
because, well, again, that is some listener feedback
you're
that we're
right.
being like, okay, so we kind of want to know.
Those were amateur days.
Yeah, and people did say that they did kind of want to know who they were going to be listening to.
Right.
So they wanted to know who they were going to be listening to before they had to try and match the voices.
Gotcha.
All right,
It's fair to ask for a roll call.
it is fair to ask a roll call, but we're not going to give you. And in today's episode, we'll be talking about.
No. We tried that.
It
Doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Exactly. Right.
Bueller.
I still like, and one of the topics we'll be talking about is square wheels today. And it's like 3 hours into it. And John's like,
Never touched the subject again.
how did he did something and he picked it up and it was awesome.
We have done that so many times.
Well,
our podcast listeners have been abused by us.
But then there's weight.
Right.
But then Phil likes to rate when I put a pizza in it and to your left, Steve.
And I'm like,
Thanks.
that's a big fun one. And we do, yes, we do occasionally set traps for the listeners. Yeah. So we do John and I find that immensely entertaining when we're like, okay, today we're going to be talking about the new Bandit 1200, 1250, and then we never even come close to it. Fuck it.
But the one episode was so good at it. It even got me.
Oh yeah.
You were like, all right, and also about that Bandit 1200, and you were like, bomb.
Yeah, John set that up.
Heads
John.
up, hot stuff coming through.
Oh, there we go. That's our guy.
All right,
cool.
yeah.
I'm gonna go live, man.
Okay,
All right,
everybody just
I'm gonna go live, man. We're back, and boom, magically, as though we conjured him up. Yep, raptured by the grace of God himself, and showed up in our podcast, Chris Franklin. Now, this is super cool, and giant round of applause, because the reason we are far more listenable, all of you podcast listeners who
Marginally
don't bleed from the ears anymore, right?
We still have faces for radio, but we sound good.
We're still just as fucking ugly, but we sound better.
Yeah,
that's
true.
good. So thank you so much, Chris. And so did you get to ride your AK yet?
I did. So I got soaked on the ride home. I mean, I've ridden in some torrential downpours, but I'm on, 480 trying to get home. And I'm seeing the weather and I'm like, oh, because I was going to take the back roads, right? Take it easy on it. Brand new break-in period, right? And I'm like, oh, but I got these two dudes on Harleys that every light I pull up to, they're shaking their head, they're hitting their thing. And I'm like, and they're just flying away, right? And I'm like, no, break-in period. Break-in period. Try to be good. So I'm like, fuck, I'm just getting on the highway. I'm getting away from these people. So I get on the highway, and no sooner do I hit just past, State Road, that I see a wall of water. And I'm like, oh, it's rain. Okay, this thing's got rain mode. Oh, wait, you can't switch it while you're riding.
You just coast for a second.
That's exactly it, right? That's what I learned, right? Like, I'm letting off. I'm trying to hit every button possible. How do we do this? And then I just hit it. And I have never had rain so hard, so quick in my life. Wow. And I've ridden in snow, blizzards.
Yeah.
And I couldn't see. So I'm ducking behind the windshield. And I'm like, oh, thank God this thing's got a windshield. And then I can't see out the windshield. I'm like, I'm hitting the car in front of me because I can't see nothing. And I'm like, I'm going to pull off under a bridge. And then I'm like, I get close to a bridge and I'm trying to get over. I'm like, I don't want to really move lanes. I'm really good behind this. I'm like, then I see the bridge. I'm like, no, you really should do the bridge. I'm like, I ain't bitching out. So I just keep going. And so I pop my head up from the windshield, and I'm like, oh, that was the worst fucking mistake I've ever made in my life. Wham! I can't see out of my glasses. Now I fully can't friggin' see. And I'm like getting behind. I'm trying to wipe my eyes. Then I see another bridge. I'm like, no, we're definitely getting off. And then I'm like, no, my house is just one more exit. Just a little bit more. I'm not bitching out. And finally the rain goes, and I get home, and I am drenched. Best ride ever, though.
3 stars.
Right? That's exactly it. 3 stars.
It was so, my wife, about the same time, probably. I got home and she was like, I'm going to take the dog for a walk. I'm like, you sure? I think it's going to rain. She's like, no. So she walks out. Same thing. Like, I've never seen it rain that hard at my house. Like, you couldn't see out the front windows. She comes back like a soggy flower, just like everything is just melted. And she's just like, you suck. It had nothing to do with what happened. She was just telling me I suck.
It was after the story.
Yeah, right.
Well, same thing here, though, right? Like, I'm on the way here, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, it's going to be good. And it's just pouring down, and I'm like, fuck. That's my luck.
So you came here on 2 wheels tonight?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So with 3 bags of groceries, a bottle of liquor, and Tic Tacs, he made it. With groceries. Well done, AK 550.
So the rest of these guys
storage.
punked out.
Yeah, that's right. You showed up on the monkey.
Yep.
He showed up on the AK 550.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
I came
That's
from
it.
work, man. I'm still figuring out if I can ride to work or not, which I can. I think I can. So I'm going to ride to work next week.
Although I am a little bit worried because I did park in front of the recycling cans. I really don't want to.
Listen to today's episode.
I just listened to the beginning of it, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Don't park your bike near trash. It's it's not garbage day.
Well, you didn't leave the key in, right?
Not that I know of.
Right, exactly.
Right? There's no leaving the key in that one, just on it.
It has the electric emitter, so it's got the electric key fob. So it's like if you can see your bike, they can steal your bike.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, one of those
right.
deals. We tested it out when it first showed up. I think you guys were here, and I kept running across the parking lot to see how far away I could get from the bike and that it would still fire up. And it was like literally corner to corner in our parking lot.
Yep.
So it's pretty far. Yeah.
How long does it take before it immobilizes, though?
I don't know.
Because like my wife's car, you have to have the fob, and you can push button start it, but you can leave the keys and take off.
Oh.
And you're good as long as you don't shut it
shut it
off.
off.
Oh, yeah. Right.
But if you get to some place and shut it off and then come back out and you're like, where's the keys?
My Harley was the same way.
Oh, they're back home.
You're done.
You're done.
Yeah.
I got to ask, is it a Kia?
It's a Nissan.
Oh, see, my Kias are the same way. Like, you can start them. Like, I've accidentally started them with the keys not in my pocket.
Oh, well, there you go.
And I've gotten to work and went,
I can't shut it off.
right? No, you can turn it off. You
you
just
can't
can't turn it back on.
On the Harley ones, if the battery died in the key fob, you could, and Ducatis are the same way. If the Ducatis and the Harleys, if the batteries die in the key fob, there's a place on the motorcycle where you can set the key fob that even if the batteries are dead, the bike will still start because it's in that sort of passive range.
Yeah,
right?
the Nissan has a little pocket in the dash with and you just put it in there and it'll still start.
And it'll still start. Yeah. Not all bikes are that
Not if you
smart.
don't have
AK does that too.
Yeah, there's
It's
a
up
little,
at the like weird icon.
There's a very strange icon on top of it, and it is when you open that door, there's a slot for it. You're like, okay, if it's in there, the batteries can be dead and it'll still work. So, very, very cool.
So, what do you think after waiting how many months and getting it? Was it worth it? And it seems like a pretty badass bike.
3 stars.
All right,
excellent.
That's the best. That's just you can't ask for better than a 3-star fucking bike, man. That's just super cool.
No, it is. It's again, you'll never find anything absolutely perfect, right?
Not at all.
But so far, everything I've done with it, I mean, it does the Cannonball Run down 480 with me.
Yeah.
I mean, I've taken it to work
No
and back
problem.
in that, and
yeah.
I would say, I don't know whether or not he knows this, but to celebrate our Canadian friends, this is the first time I've ever had all dressed chips in the United States of America. These chips that are over here are actually Canadian style, all dressed, which is something our Canadian friends are like, no shit. Of course, it's like Tim Hortons double. But if you're not familiar, just pass them to the left and they'll eventually reach Chris when it's empty. But yeah, it's all dressed. It's like all the stuff. So, but that's super fun and super cool. And then brought us a bottle of kick-ass fucking bourbon too. That's very happy bottle of
I
bourbon.
like how Smith goes on one long motorcycle trip and now he's Grizzly Adams.
He
all
does.
Of a sudden, like
He's
fucking-
committed to being natural. He's embraced his natural
He's
self.
like David Letterman. He retires. He's gonna have a beard down to his knees. Fuck.
That didn't take long either with David Letterman.
No.
I like his nice smooth chest though.
Chris, could you do us a favor? Could you tell us
you
what
button your
the
shirt?
hell is in what I'm drinking? Because I'm drinking this bottle of bourbon, but I don't believe for a second.
salty watermelon.
Okay, so this is Old Smoky, Gatlinburg, Tennessee Mountain made salty watermelon whiskey, which salty usually indicates
Surly.
or somebody's put their balls in it.
Yeah, right.
It is. I mean, I was
My black salty balls.
when I was drinking it, I was like, this is not high octane. So it's not. It's about 60 proof, 30%. But when I say that this stuff does taste like a watermelon Jolly Rancher, I'm not far off the
you're
mark.
right. You're
I'm
right.
not far off the mark.
Spot on.
This tastes like you've just taken a drink of wild turkey and had a watermelon Jolly Rancher. It is just ridiculously. This is illegal when there's any young ladies around. There's no way.
Look at Dan. Dan's giving you the stink eye of like a. He's just like, dude.
Dan's a snob.
I know.
Yeah.
This you cannot have this around young people because they'll drink all of it and get stupid.
Okay, those are really good chips.
All dressed, man. That's the way it is.
Yep.
favorite
watch,
chips ever.
Yeah, you watch Trailer Park Boys, you'll know what we're talking about. But on to the weird motorcycle shit.
Yes.
Okay, so again, did somebody else see the poster or the post of the Yamaha TDM 80?
Which one?
There was a recent post on the Instagrambles that somebody posted up a picture of a bikes that are going to be coming to AMA Vintage Days.
Oh, they're selling them. You
Sneak
mean?
preview.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good bike. It's a two-stroke,
Yeah.
right?
And so I believe it's our Japanese friends that are going to be bringing a whole gaggle of very interesting bikes to Mid-Ohio. And I'm going to tell you with no reservations, the TDM 850. And that's the kind of thing where,
Or 880 or 850?
no, 80. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay, you
80,
said
yeah.
850.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Did I say that? Oh,
Yeah.
you know what? Because I owned one and it's in my brain forever.
Right. No, yeah, TDM 80 is dope. It's a little
80.
two-stroke
It is
monster.
so ridiculous.
Yeah.
It is the silliest damn little bike ever. And it doesn't matter. I'm in love with it. I can't say enough
and
about
it'll
it.
eat Groms for lunch all day long.
It's a two-stroke.
Yeah.
Yeah. How cool is that? I mean, that's just cool. And so I did see that somebody's bringing one to AMA Vintage Days. And again, two-strokiness, all kinds of deliciousness. It's going to be just silly. I'm looking forward to it. I'm trying to picture where it will be. so that we can get our peepers on it first. Because we know, I'm working on that right now. The TDM80 is a bit too obscure to just have it jump right up to the front of the Google. It's one of those things that
you've got to work for it.
You got to fucking work for it. Yeah. And that's exactly right.
If you thought a Moto Campo was a rare little odd bird,
yes,
a TDM80 is.
That's exactly right.
There's on the Japanese vintage motorcycle group on Facebook, there's a guy who posts constantly. He's a JDM importer.
Right.
And he's got 4 of them on his website right now.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
I think whatever year they were kind of popular just became 25 years or something recently.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. That probably goes hand in glove. You know, that's probably that kind of a thing.
Or Happy Sock.
Extra happy one.
Yeah. For that's totally extra.
Maybe that's
happy
what they filter the booze through to get that salty flavor.
Oh, that's painful. That's terrifying.
Fuck you.
Corporate Steve.
I'm trying to, I will conjure this up, but the idea of that and a bunch of other stuff that's super cool going to Mid-Ohio at the same time is pretty fucking cool. And I think it might be our friend that always brings out the Honda gyros and all that stuff. Yep. So yeah, so that could be the place to be. And I'm tempted. I don't want to necessarily give too much play to it because I don't want to be the third guy to get there.
Right.
I want the first guy to get there and just be like,
but wait,
your price is ridiculous. That's crazy. I'll never pay that.
But wait, will this podcast drop before Mid-Ohio?
It probably will.
Oh, it'll have to because
Okay.
I don't think the internet's going to be that good down there.
Yeah, it's probably not fantastic at the Mid-Ohio at the same time.
No.
So yeah, that's definitely one of those things that I'm a big fan of. So
I am going to have to make I'm sorry, we're going to Mid-Ohio Moto Stories apology 1-second video to put up.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. That's actually a really good idea.
Sorry we haven't dropped the video because we were solid for 9 months.
Yeah,
we
didn't miss nothing.
Fucking
didn't miss
time.
shit. Right, and you're
but
right.
it's also Mid-Ohio time. So if you've listened to this or that, you know that's fucking. I'm sorry. All of us are willing to quit jobs over Mid-Ohio, so we're not fucking posting.
And that is true. That does come down to that. Like that's a very real thing that many people don't understand. As you came into that situation today with your job.
Yeah.
And it just came down to, I'm sorry, wait, no. Did you forget?
Well,
it was in my contract.
My direct boss didn't, but the big boss above her had no idea.
Yeah.
So she's like, well, next week we can do this, this, and this. I'm like, well, actually, I have a pre-employment vacation that I planned 3 years ago. And she was like, oh, just take it. And they're cool. I'm not dogging.
Right.
Like they were like, yeah, that's fine. They're like, that's gonna be a little bit of a
Freaking sound guy.
There we go. That's what I expect.
It is corporate Steve. He's fucking everything up. It's these damn button shirts. They're restricted.
Steve, I know exactly how you feel.
That's awful. When we've got all the people now ringing our bell for hookups for Mid-Ohio. We got a lot of people ringing our bell for hookups. So we got some people calling up and like, hey man, I need to get a bike.
I have room in my tent, but there's fees.
Did you say fleas?
And lube.
That's it. Yeah. So, and we know that Liza and the Misfits are coming out, so we're gonna make special arrangements for them for sure. But yeah,
Cameron special arrangements?
I don't know. I mean, if he shows up, right?
Wouldn't that be so hilarious?
He's going to be at the
Here's your SSRs to ride. We've mounted some special things.
Special attachments for you, Cam. Of course.
Cameron's too busy with comedians and coffee or whatever.
Yeah, there you go. Right? Yeah.
He's never been the same.
Corvette owners and coffee.
I would like to personally custom design Liza's SSR.
Oh,
Steve and I will work on that.
Tune hers right up. Here you go, Liza. It's just awesome. Yeah. Just dick. Nothing but dicks. Yeah.
A bag of them.
It's just a giant bag of dicks.
Ones.
Yeah.
I do have that 14-inch long wooden schlong for my buddy in Sweden I can bring in for you guys.
Oh my God.
It's a jam.
There you go.
Is it well polished?
It's polished. Yeah, the knob has been polished. And stained.
So what I did want to tell people is we still don't know. Nobody at this table has any idea exactly what's going to Mid-Ohio yet. I'm going to be taking my Hunter Cub just because I want to have something to ride. I'm probably going to take the Sherco So I'll probably take the Sherco Trials bike just
good bike.
because I also know that's going to be the place where I'm going to find the guy who wants to buy it.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Oh, that won't last long there.
Ride that around and sell that there. So that's cool. I had this crazy idea that I was going to do a Mid-Ohio pre-sale and that this Sunday I was going to do at my warehouse.
Sunday.
Yeah, just put it up on the Facey books or whatever and say, look, if you don't want to go to Mid-Ohio and you want to buy all the good shit, your local, show up in my warehouse and my wife's gone, so I'll just be there all day anyway. So fuck it. And I thought that'd be a really good idea. And then life happened. So then a bunch of things happened and, I got 22 Vespas coming in tomorrow. So
And prep them. And get them
Boy, that
and prep
sucks.
them and get them out. And 22 people that all want to ride them yesterday and 6 weeks ago. So that'll happen.
Need it for Thursday, though.
No, a couple weeks isn't too bad.
I'm sending a tow truck to get it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And it'll just dangle on the fucking hook, man. Yeah. It'll be fine. It won't be a problem at all.
Did you ever heard from that person?
The one that dangled at home on the hook?
Yeah.
Nope. No.
Nice.
No. Yeah, we know. Again, I'm almost positive that there's an insurance settlement involved with that. There's no way that bike made it home. And I'm believing the tow truck driver probably got in the driveway, unloaded the bike, and hauled ass. Or put
Without getting paid.
Yeah. Just to get away from it. Just to, and when they call, be like, no, we didn't haul a Vespa. I don't know who you're calling. I think you want Ronco and Sons or somebody. I think you called the wrong shop. We don't haul Vespas. We wouldn't even do that.
We don't have the equipment for that shit. We would do know better.
Have you seen our trucks?
Yeah, we'd end up ruining it.
We can't do that.
We're not idiots.
Or the best thing was that the guy just left it at the end of her driveway and then knocked it over to be like, I left it upright. I don't know what happened in your driveway.
That's probably a good.
was
That's
just
a
a
good
wind.
idea. Yeah.
Did you read your liability waiver? We said we're not responsible for anything, including delivering your bike to you in one piece.
I was thinking about that, and I think the best thing he could have done is just taken a nylon strap, looped it through the bottom of it,
Yeah.
and then hauled it home upside down.
We've seen
It would
it.
have been safer.
when I got arrested for drag racing when I was like 19 in the metro parks. My Honda Hurricane, they did that. The tow truck came up, and I'm like, what the fuck are they going to do with this? They put 2 straps to the wheels. The dude held it as it picked it up and hung it upside down and drove away.
Yeah.
I was like, motherfucker. But it was banging into shit like this and stuff. But like, yeah.
Well, when they let it
wasn't
down, it was like,
It's a fucking pinata at that point.
It wasn't as bad as
honestly.
the other one, though.
Realistically, we've seen it all. We've seen them put a bike on the back of a rollback, a big ass rollback, put it on the back of the rollback, and then run the cable. The cable that pulls the cars up the rollback.
Oh, yeah.
Run the cable across the seat of the bike sideways, and then have the bike on the side stand. Run the cable across, and then hit it. And that cable can pull a car or truck up the ramp.
Snap.
And it bent the bike all the way till the frame was on the ground. Till the frame was on the deck. And I was like, he's like, well, it's an insurance job. I was like, that doesn't necessarily mean it's your job to crush it.
Right.
Like, now it doesn't need a kickstand anymore.
So to be fair, it's not going to move.
It's no, right. It will not incur any damage, any additional damage on the way. Yeah. Oh, it chapped my ass so hard. So I must announce we are brought to you folks by Manscaped. Yay! Manscaped. Well, you guys, they have new copy.
Oh,
I know. I love it when they have new copy. It makes me really excited when there's new fucking copy.
did they pick up Clamscape yet?
No, they didn't. But again,
I did see a girl holding one. So
yeah,
I'm really
right.
interested
So
to hear.
we're only this far. We're only an arm's length away from Clamscape.
That's right.
That's right. With its 7,000 RPMs. Yep. Nothing like
6 inches away from
6 inches away. 6 inches away from Clamscape. The Olympics, Euros, baseball, major championships and concerts are all in this summer. You know what isn't? A wild and hairy bush. Tame your pubes with help from our friends at Manscaped, the leaders in below-the-waist grooming. Their 4th generation performance package includes the brand new Lawnmower 4.0. If an athlete treats their body like royalty, why not treat your pubes like the Olympic gold? Fellas, do right by your balls and join the 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com with the code ClevelandMoto. It's all one word, folks. ClevelandMoto. We had people that told us, okay, yeah, now I fucking finally understand that it's all one word. I'm like, how long have you been playing this fucking game? Like, it was okay when we just started and it was like Cleveland space Moto. Look, it's the internet, man. It just works better if you smush it together.
And after 307,
Yeah.
337
episodes. Cleveland Moto, all one word.
You know
It's
what
cool.
I'm looking forward to?
Yeah.
Is the lawnmower 5.0, and it's like a Roomba.
Oh,
you
yeah,
just shove it down your pants, and it just fucking works.
It just goes, baby. Yeah, it just
Give out
goes.
the ideas.
And it just keeps backing up when it hits the trunk. That's it.
But better for that, the back. You know, you just slap it down your shirt. It's like,
That's why you want it. That's,
I like that idea. So just to remind people what you got going on with that, okay? This is not just a thing. You're getting the 4.0 trimmer. You're getting the weed whacker, which is for, the nose holes and the ear holes and stuff like that. And then you're getting the crop preserver, my favorite, which is actually ball deodorant again.
What flavor is that?
I don't know.
I figured you know by now.
Salty watermelon?
Salty watermelon!
I hate
Yeah, nice job. If it was mine, it'd be salty waters melon.
Yeah.
Yes. My wife got a new deodorant that is not like, it's healthy. It's like safe
for
deodorant.
everything?
Yeah. Would you like to know what flavor it is?
I don't know.
Kiwi banana.
Okay, then.
What the fuck?
Two kiwis and a banana.
You're a tiki guy. You can't be mad about that.
It's like when your armpits need a taste of the tropics.
kiwi banana.
But that's not where it's
a
going,
fruit
right?
salad.
But it's not.
It's
It's safe though for everything, right?
I don't know. I mean, look,
What are you suggesting?
It's
Well, don't girls clam up their thing
you know
and make
what?
them all smell?
I don't know.
to tell you how safe it is, because of my wife being who my wife is, it's in a cardboard applicator.
Oh, yeah.
So you know it's safe
Recyclable
for
thing,
everything.
yeah.
Oh yeah. If my wife's buying it, it's safe for
all in.
everything. Yeah. Most of the products my wife works by are completely environmentally benign.
Yeah,
Right.
mine come in wrapped
But
in
they also
leaves.
don't work.
Right.
That's it.
And made in the
Here,
US.
wipe your armpits with this stainless steel bar.
Yeah, right.
Right.
That's
You don't
totally
need
good.
soap anymore. Here's a piece of metal.
It'll last
Okay.
forever.
Yeah, well, of course it does. It's a piece of metal.
Pretend it's soap.
Pretend it's soap. Yeah, I tried that once. Nope, doesn't work. Yep, balls still smelled like balls. Yep. And the stainless steel smelled like balls too.
I think at the end of the day, balls are going to be balls. And
That's
they're always gonna smell
exactly
like-
it.
My wife's been like, oh, here, I bought this. She had something that was made just for your nether regions or whatever.
Right.
You should put some of this on. I'm like, what for?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to be sniffing my balls anytime soon?
There's one product.
Like
Okay.
if you're more.
I didn't know this. I had somebody sniffing my balls.
There is one thing
While
that
you're
I'm
asleep
happy
at
to
night.
tell people about that is a product that we always say, if you can use this there, you can use this there, right?
Yeah, right.
No questions asked. But when it comes to Gold Bond powder,
Ooh.
okay, the yellow container of Gold Bond powder is perfect for everything. There is a green container that is meant for your feet. Use it on other people's feet. Like it is seriously, I do not recommend using it on any part of your body, and that might include your feet, right? Because no shit, that stuff is powerful.
It has insecticide or fungicide or something.
I think it does, and I think it also it's violent. There's no better way to say it. That shit is just fucking
Because
violent.
even the yellow thing is tingly.
The yellow thing is tingly.
Yeah.
The yellow thing, if you've just shaved and you hit it, like, the little poof when you're lying on your back, just give it that nice poof. And if you do that and you've just shaved, you're going to be running around the room for a little while, or maybe turning a
Like a
fan
cat.
on. Like a cat, exactly. But the green stuff, I question whether or not you should even put it on your feet. It might be too
The
spicy.
yellow
for
stuff's
that.
all right though. Like if
Yeah.
you're doing yard work to keep
Yeah.
the crack creek from happening, you want to stuff
it
it up.
works good.
Yeah, it's not bad.
You don't want to get any of it in the crack. I had that a little bit where it was like, oh, damn. There's not much you can do about it except just let it burn.
Just work your way through it. That's
Yeah.
all there is to it.
Like, oh, that got too far in.
And there is this thing too. The problem is once you start grooming your junk,
Oh yeah.
it's a habit
Yeah.
that is reinforced by Mother Nature.
Oh yeah.
Because you do it and you're like, magnificent.
Dude,
Right?
since we got this, and
Yeah.
I've been like the 4.0.
Yep.
I've been doing my ear holes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh my God, now I got fucking mustaches coming out of my ear holes.
That's right.
I'm
Yeah.
forever, and I'm always
now going to do it
like,
forever.
okay, well, this is the
Well,
rest of my
that,
life.
and there's the 4-day rule. So it's like after you knock it down, after you're like, look at me, I'm majestic. This is so cool. I'm streamlined and aerodynamic and 5 miles per hour quicker.
And an
then-
Audi now.
4 days later, though,
You're dragging.
4 days later, you're dragging. 4 days later, it's like, And it's just the angriest. You're just like a fucking angry porcupine in your pants, and you're just like, oh man, everything's mad now.
Yourself.
And you're just like, fuck it, I gotta hit it again.
Yeah.
So there is that thing, and I was like, I think you have to go to jail to get through that awkward 2 or 3 weeks when everything's just growing back, because you can't do that in the normal world.
No.
You got to do that in jail, someplace where you're to duck and cover, and you're not going to let anybody get anywhere near your shit.
Yep.
That's it.
It could probably help you too, because once somebody gets poked once by that shit, they're not coming back.
They're not coming back.
No.
It's like concertina wire for your dick. Yeah. They're gonna be like, no, leave that guy alone for a couple of weeks. That'll give you a chance to get That'll give you a chance to get your lawyer to get his shit together.
What do you think, Steve?
Steve's out there going like, go ahead and kick me in the balls. You'll just be repelled. You'll be repelled by the fucking hair.
I'm wearing a genital helmet full of Lebanese hair.
And a meat helmet.
A meat helmet, exactly. You never had a meat helmet? But I did want to say that you get all that stuff in that new package. You get all those. You get the ear hole trimmer, which is fucking super cool. The weed whacker. Yep. And then you get the crop reviver and the crop preserver.
How do other companies not hire us as brand ambassadors? We are fucking amazing.
But we didn't even talk about the boxer briefs.
Oh, right.
And a sack. So you get a sack
to pull your shit away.
to put all your shit in.
The briefs are good, though. I have to admit, they're fucking good,
They're
man.
really good. So, yeah, we solidly approve about that. But anyway, back to that. The question is going to be, are we going to bring the Manscaped to Mid-Ohio? I'm thinking we just have one standing by in case somebody passes out in an unruly fashion. They might lose an eyebrow.
That could happen.
Yeah, that could happen.
Reverse mohawk?
Reverse mohawk, exactly. Yeah, right down. Get a Mid-Ohio haircut for him.
I think
That'd be like putting your balls on somebody's forehead.
Guilty as charged. Yep. There's still a guy in Cincinnati who will not talk to me. It turns out you can hold a grudge. That's for real. But so that's the thing. So we wanted to talk about that real quick. Hey, did anybody else notice the elephant in the room?
Did Cam park a bike here?
Hey! So last week, when you guys visited this bike, or a couple of weeks ago after the podcast, I took everyone in my back room, the Tunnel of Solitude. And this bike was there, but it had the original factory handlebars on it, where are really good if you're trying to knock down Japanese zeros out of the sky.
Yeah.
But those handlebars were just garbage. And so when I brought this bike into the shop, when I bought it, this bike is a 2003 Harley Davidson 1200.
I like it.
And it has about 3,600 miles on it. Nice. Okay, this is just a basic Sportster is what it is. Now, here's the weird thing about it. It came in under a guy who had bought it brand new. He was the original owner. He bought it from the dealership and has hated the bike from the day that he got it.
Really?
There's one of those situations where he didn't buy the Harley for him. He bought the Harley for his neighbors. He's like, well, all my friends had Harleys.
Yeah.
So I figured I'd go out and buy a Harley. So he did. He went out and bought a Harley. And he bought the Harley, and the Harley had the factory stock bars on it, and the factory stock airbox on it, and the factory stock exhaust on it. Everything's stock on that bike. And he brought it into the shop, and he's like, yeah, nobody will work on it. I said, really? And he's like, yeah, it's an 02 or an 03. It's too old. Nobody will touch it. I was like, that's hilarious.
Yeah, because what changed?
It's the same Sportster they were selling last year,
right?
But this one has more than 1 inch of suspension travel, right?
Oh yeah.
So they've kind of screwed with the Sportster over the years, but anyway, this is a 2003. So he brings it in, and I'm like, well, we'll be happy to take a stab at it. We'll get it sorted out. There's nothing on this bike we can't make better, and we could also go through it and kind of fix all the problems that the factory put in the bike to meet EPA standards and whatnot. And he's like, nope, just want to sell it. I said, just want to sell it.
He was done with it.
And he's like, I'm done with it. And I said, well, okay. And he's like, I want a Kimco X-Town 300. And I said, you want a Kimco X-Town 300? That's kind of a big jump, right? Going from a Sportster 1200 to a Kimco X-Town 300. Now, if you saw the guy, you'd realize he was more Kimco X-Town 300 than he was Sportster 1200. Gotcha. Like, if he walked into this room and you said, put this guy with the bike he probably owned, it wouldn't be that bike, right? So the bike and he were never happy together. And he's like, so he said, but before you agree to take this on trade, you have to take it for a ride.
Oh, the Pepsi challenge?
People normally
don't want
try to hide shit like that. Exactly. Right. People normally
feel
try
free
shit.
to ride it on the parking grounds right here for 5 feet, just to make sure it works.
Right. Oh, I just misplaced the key. I don't know what happened. I drove it here, but I don't know what happened to that pesky key.
Tires a little low. The chain's a little old. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever.
You can rev it up a little bit if you want.
Bit of a hard starter, this one. Yeah. So he hands me the key and he's like, yeah, just go take it for a ride before you agree to take it into your shop on trade. And I was like, yeah, okay, well, I've ridden all kinds of garbage. This can't be that bad. I'm wrong. That was that fucking bad.
Really? So was it, I thought it was the other way around. I thought it was like, this is a better bike than you think.
No, it was way worse than he could have
Really?
done. In fact, when I got back on my 3-mile test ride loop that I always take, and I nearly died 7 times, the bike had an extremely manic disorder of either not running completely and stalling out or jumping to 3,000 RPM. And having nothing in between, which we all know is that carburetor is one of those carburetors that should have never been put on that motorcycle. And when it was new, it was a problem. When the bike came out of the crate, it was a problem. In fact, most dealers in 2003 told you, well, Steve, I'll sell you the bike. But I'm going to let you know right now, you do want to get the money. You want to get what you paid for, right?
Right.
So we're going to need to. Have you ever heard of Screaming Eagle?
I have not.
You're about to.
Okay.
Yeah, we're about to introduce you to about $2,600 for the Screaming Eagle.
Oh, good, because I had extra money I wanted to spend. Right.
Perfect.
It's pretty sad when a 71 Stromberg is better than what they put on there.
And that's absolutely the God's honest truth.
But Phil, if I get the Screaming Eagle stuff, I can't afford the jacket and helmet that says Harley Davidson.
Well, the way
on.
that you
finance that.
The way that I was
you can roll it in.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
That's
All right.
the way that I was trained. The way that I was trained is we can build the Screaming Eagle kit into the financing package, right, with your leather jacket and your conchos and your thong.
Get everything you
And your
ever
lunch.
want right now.
And yeah, if you're at Southeast Harley Davidson, your cheeseburger and your French fries.
You could finance that lunch for 7 years.
On. We'll put that in on your financing. So eat up, Johnny.
Well, at least they didn't fuck it up with like saddlebags and all that other garbage. So at least you can see the bike.
They can if you want it. But yes, you can see the bike. So the bike was pathetic and terrible and wrong when I got on it. The second I got on the bike, I was like, Jesus, this bike is just angry. Like, this bike is like one of those horses that just never wants to be ridden ever. And so nobody fucking does anything with it. And it just sits out there and gets old. Well, that's what was happening to this bike. It was just getting old. So I rode it with those fucking ridiculous handlebars on. And again, super hard to ride. Like, I will remind you, I participated in the only ever motorcycle demolition derby that the Lake County Fairgrounds ever had.
I wonder why.
Now, first of all, we know
How
about
do you
Lake
back
County.
into each other?
Yeah, no, it's straight on, baby. Okay. It's straight on. If the bike falls down, you're not allowed to pick it up. You're out.
Oh.
Okay. So if the bike falls down, you're not allowed to pick it down. You're not allowed to go straight for the guy's legs. You're not allowed to.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
What else are you supposed to do? Head on?
Smoosh the shit out of each other. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And
What
so
year was this?
This was years ago, and this was at Lake County Fairgrounds, and this might have been like something as late as like 94, 95, something like that. But here's the great thing
Before
about
their
it.
insurance was canceled.
Yes. When we went there, it's in the infield of their track, and it's very, very, they've got it really tight, so you can't build up any speed. And then they pour a bunch of water out to make it muddy, so you can't build up any traction. And then there's like 40 motorcycles there. And they're like, okay, guys, so
Tip away.
go get your bikes. And then so they had 40 stupid volunteers to get there, and we all did. And they said, go get your bikes. So I ran and got a CX 500. And,
Oh, you participated in it.
oh, fuck yeah, I did. You kidding me? I was like, as soon as they're like, next week we're going to do a motorcycle demolition derby. I was like,
Game on, bitches.
I'm there. What do I need to do to prepare?
Yeah, you've been going to band camp for how many years? That's what happens.
That's exactly it. Finally, a sport I'm designed for. And I'm virtually unknockdownable. So I get there and I run over and I grab the CX550 because I saw the guy riding it around to park it. And I was like,
And
that's...
you tipped it.
Oh, fucking. As soon as I saw the bike, I was like, I'm going for the CX550. It's unkillable. It'll never overheat no matter what we do to it. And honestly, if it doesn't have any coolant or oil in it right now, it doesn't matter. We're still going to survive the whole event. I just need to not get hit. That's all I need to do is just be a rabbit and make sure that people can't fucking hit
What was
me.
the pregame strategy? What kind of...
I drank heavily for about an hour and a half.
That's what I
2
figured.
hours. Yeah.
So you
So
were
I made
just-
sure I was numb.
Yeah, a little
and
rich.
very flexible.
Running a little
rich on that
Right,
one.
yeah.
So I went over and got the bike, and yeah, I did that, and I survived it like all the way to the shootout. I made it into the finals, and there were 4 guys in the finals, and by that point, when we took for the sprint, that guy got the CX 500, and I got this fucking awful bike. I think it was a Suzuki, like an SP 250.
All right.
Sorry, but it was.
It can be awful.
But
It's
it was
fine.
really bad. It was really fucked
No
up.
weight behind it.
No weight behind it.
Yeah.
So it had no weight behind it. The front wheel was already potato chipped because the front wheel's a 21 inch. So it had been hit many.
Kickstart only, so if it stalls, you're
Exactly.
fucking getting murdered.
So this thing had been
He
hit.
stole your well-maintained CX500.
Yeah. And the CX, the rims, you couldn't bend them.
No, Comstars.
Comstars. You couldn't bend them. So that guy got the good bike, the bike that was going to win. He got it. And I ended up on the SP, which you couldn't even make it go forward unless the handlebars were all the way to the left. So I was fighting at a disadvantage. So it took like 2 good hits.
Are you allowed to get off your bike and try to like straighten the shit out? Like,
That's what I was like.
Can I like,
They literally give you no time to do anything.
No.
It's just go. It's a spectator sport, honestly. So that's what it is. But that being said, this bike nearly killed me. And it was fucked up. So it was fucked up in 19 different directions. So I came back from my test ride and I said, all right, you've proven your point. You're a better man than I am because you rode this all the way here from like East Lake. Well done.
that looks like an East Lake bike.
On the freeway? Well, you just saw when it had the original handlebars on.
Oh, I did. It was
Yeah.
like this.
Oh, yeah.
It was
That was
crazy.
special.
Did he bring some Biagios?
No, you know what? If he'd have told me he was bringing Biagios, I would have given him a better deal. You know? So we're going to go around the table, and I want everybody at the table to tell me and remember what price you think he wanted trade-in value for this bike. What price he wanted, and then we're going to have, in the same breath, I want you to say what I paid. Okay, now remember, he bought a Kimco X-Town 300, which is, you know, in the neighborhood of $5,000, you know? So that's where he's at. So what do you think he wanted, Sleepy? What do you think I paid?
I say he wanted $4,500 and you paid $1,200.
Okay.
I'm gonna say 5,000 and 1,003.
Okay.
I'm gonna say 4K. He won it. You got it for 15.
Okay.
I think he wanted 6K and you paid like 18.
Okay.
5,700 and $900.
Okay.
$899.
$1.
Dick.
I think he wanted $5,000, but he ended up just giving it to you for free.
All right.
Yeah, I was gonna say about $4,000, and you probably gave him 1,200 or something.
He wanted $1,500 for it. And then when I took it for a ride and brought it back, I was like, I'm going to tell you right now what it needs. And he looked at the bike, and after I got done telling him what it needed, he said, will you give me $850? And so I gave him $1,000.
Oh.
So I gave him $1,000. So that's $1,000 Sportster, which is on target, right? So Chris nailed that. Absolutely got it. I thought your 1,003 was, you were going to nail it. And we don't play closest without going over. Fuck that. That's a bullshit rule. You can't be like $1 off and be like, oh, but you went over. That's whoever came up with that.
Stupid,
Closest without going over.
Monty
Well,
Hall.
if you
came up
want
with
it, if
that.
you want it special, I'm actually painting a set of tins for this very bike right now.
But there's more to the story.
Okay.
But wait,
But yes.
More.
But wait, there's more. So this thing shows up. And of course, in my environment, this thing gets about as much love as a redheaded stepchild. No offense, Bagel, right? So
But wait, James is already in love with it.
James has literally changed the handlebars already. So what had happened is I said, you know what? When October comes around, when November comes around, we'll fix it proper and we'll unfuck it and we'll sell it for real money, right? Because a bike there are no Sportsters 1200s with 3,500 miles on them
That are stock.
that are still unmolested.
Right.
Yeah,
Right,
usually
exactly.
I mean like just the leather, the non like wrapped leather things on it are worth.
Usually they
$2,000.
look like the back cover of Judas Priest's worst album.
right.
Right? They look like something Meatloaf is trying to jump across a graveyard.
And the
right?
third grader that painted the Eddie from Iron
Yep.
Maiden on the tank
Yep.
with like watercolors
Yep.
and they spray painted over it and
Yep.
stuff like that. Yeah.
You got it. You know, you've been there.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
You've
yeah.
been there. But here's the weird thing. James has been rubbing his dick on it since it showed up, right? And then,
He's an impulsive guy.
yeah. So then apparently when my shop was closed the other day, because, you know, we do close on Sundays. And so, you know, because we got to go to church. And we close on Sunday. And my church looks different than your church. That's just all. So
it's still true.
don't judge. It's still church.
El Sapo.
things get drunk. There's communion. Right.
Someone's getting
So
on their
Porco's
knees.
is open.
Somebody's on their knees. Yeah. Chris has got the lines. So so apparently some mystery maintenance happened to my shop off hours. And all of a sudden I come into work and James is doing something I haven't seen him do a long time. And that was like riding a motorcycle.
Wow.
And I was like, get the fuck out of here. So yeah, it's got the normal TT bars on it now and stuff. And so yeah. And he's like, I love it. It's great. I fucking love it. I love everything about it.
It's got the mirrors positioned so you can see yourself.
Yeah, the vanity mirrors.
You can't see shit in those mirrors. Those mirrors are use goddamn less.
Right.
Yeah, you'd be better in with bar ends.
He loved it. I'm like, why don't you buy it? He's like,
Phil won't sell it to me.
Phil won't sell it
That's
to me.
right.
He wants to make money on it. I'm like, I know what he paid for it. I'm like,
Right.
well, you know what he paid for it, so offer him a little bit more so he can make some money on it.
So James understands the way the shop works. So the deal is, I told him, I'm like, well, you have an option. If I sell that bike, I'm going to sell that bike for $3,500 or more, right? Which means I'm going to profit $2,500. If I give that bike to you, I'm losing $2,500. They already got their bonuses. So, this could have been rolled into their bonus, into his bonus. But realistically, how about we do this? Since James is known to be a guy who makes a decision and regrets a decision in the same day, why don't we lean into that? And I just say, James, just fucking drive it.
Right.
Just ride the shit out of it for as long as you want to ride the shit out of it. And then when you get bored with it, we'll sell it. And then everybody's happy. And you don't feel stupid for buying a bike that you didn't want to buy. And he's like, that seems fair. And I'm like, well, yeah. There you go. That's it. Just don't,
Can we try that same thing on one of the new Vespas over
yeah,
there?
you're gonna try it on a brand new Vespa? Exactly.
Like,
Yeah, that's it. A little bit different.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's it. So, but it was funny. But so now we have the Sportster 1200 kicking around the shop.
But you could have, you know what? You could sell it to him.
Yeah.
You know he's not going to ride it for very long.
This has
But
happened.
he probably will spend a lot of money on it.
This has happened 19 times.
He's going to put a bunch of shit on it, and he's going to tear it all apart. He's going to get it repainted.
It would be the
and put
fifth-
back together 99%, and then you're going to get it back for $500.
Yeah.
And it'll be worth even more.
Oh no, this is James's last 26 motorcycle moves. Like the last countless number of motorcycles James has owned, including a gorgeous black and yellow V7 that he put the hard bags on, and like he did everything to make that into the perfect V7 for James, including Columbus Crew paint colors. And then he just decided, I'm not riding it anymore. And then sold it without even telling me for like it was like a bad yen to euro to dollar conversion. The price was so low. I was like, the accessories were more than that. Like, I'm mad at you out of spite right now. Like, how dare you do that? Well, I didn't want to let you know.
If you're going to let somebody fuck you, let me fuck you.
Yeah. Keep it close to home, man. Because then, you know what? If you decide that you made a mistake by selling it to me, you can buy it back from me, That would be great. And I love that. I mean, I absolutely love that whole idea of like, let's just keep the thing in the circle and keep spinning it around. Yeah. So that's great. So that's cool.
So are we taking it to Mid-Ohio?
No, hey, you gotta have to pry James off of it first. I keep looking at it at different angles, and I think there's some weird ghost flame on there or something. Like it might have had a sticker on it with a flame. So
I think it's a finger mark.
Yeah. Oh, is it a finger mark?
I thought it was just some rubbings on there.
I was gonna say, I think you're right. There might be a little DNA in there.
It wouldn't be James. It would never be that far up the tank.
So Irish.
It'd be right down there in between the seat and the tank.
Yeah, I haven't ridden it now with the better handlebars on it yet, but I can tell you that riding it with the buckhorns on it was just awful. It was terrible.
That is such a strange, like literally like this.
They were garbage.
Yeah,
that was such a weird idea. Like that era for
riding a 50 cal.
Yeah, that era for it was such a bad thing. Mod Deuce, come on.
Now I will say though that going from that down to like a 300, I was worried, right? Like I just sold my 1800.
Yeah.
Right. Like.
And how many miles did you have on that 1800?
Just shy of 90,000.
Wait, you actually ride bikes?
a VTX with just shy of 90,000 miles. Yeah.
Barely broken in.
By the way, Darksider here through and through. Right?
Yeah.
Like
I had heard about this.
But I didn't tell you.
Warned.
But I didn't tell you what bike he dark-sided.
I did the 1800 was dark-sided, and my Suzuki 2003 Intruder was also dark-sided.
Oh,
he dark-sided an Intruder.
And that Intruder if you know where transportation is, like the off of Granger and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that hill that's behind what used to be
illegal dirt park, the illegal motocross park.
Yeah.
that bike made it straight up that with that car
With
tire.
a car tire.
Dark-sided.
Dark-sided. And I will tell you that I needed to change afterwards.
I'm going to do that a quarter of the way up. This was a horrible idea. Halfway up, I'm probably going to die. 3/4 of the way up. Well, I'm still here.
Pretty much. Like, it was one of those, you can't stop.
Yep.
This wasn't right. And I'm a loner, right? Like, I ride by myself or with my grandfather, so there ain't fuck all of anyone around me, except for anyone looking at me going, who's that motherfucker? What the hell's he doing?
He just stole that bike.
Right? I am fucking hugging that tank, just throttling it, and every time it starts to want to stop because the tire's slipping, I do the asshole thing. Fucking give it more!
And about every 9 seconds.
In thrust we trust.
Right, that's right. Shit, you're not.
And about every 9 seconds, your ass hits the seat.
You're not joking.
Oh, it's fucking horrible. Yeah, that is inappropriate motocrossing. I love the whole idea of inappropriate motocrossing. Oh, thank you so much.
Did you you guys saw that bike life thing that's going around with the guy doing the wheelie that hits the back tire of the other guy and basically
loops them.
It seems physically impossible that he could hit the back of one bike and then land in front of the other bike going backwards.
Right.
But he does.
He does. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's insane, and that's just one of those ones that giddy fuck up, man. The when we do talking about motorcycles, as we sometimes wander into around here, so I would like to bring to everyone's attention that right now is not a great time to be needing tires for your motorcycle.
Oh,
there's a bit of a fucking problem right now, and then we all might be Darksiders soon. Because we get a phone call the other day. Nice. I'm way ahead of you. Let me teach you how to do some off-road hill climbing. Yeah. On a Dunlop Gold Standard car tire.
I'd like a super swamper on mine, please.
Yes, exactly. Big old woolly booger. So we have a phone call the other day from lovely lady. Says, I need this tire. She gives me the size. She gives me the size and she gives me the name of the tire, which tells me immediately she's not a customer. Because no customer in the history of customers has ever called up and said, I need this brand of tire in this size.
Right.
They all say, I need a tire. I need a tire. Your make and model? Well, your make and model should not be a difficult question.
Right.
Your make and model should be like something you were thinking about when you dialed my numbers. That would be one of those numbers that when a person picks up the phone, this is something they might ask you.
Right.
Right. So not being totally clear on your year, make, or model would probably be a bad thing to not know before you fucking call the place you're trying to buy a tire from.
Right.
And it's not like I asked him something weird, like how fat's your old lady, and you got to lie about it because you've been lying about it for the last 20 years anyway. No, it's your make and model, motherfucker. And then well, it's blue.
It's blue.
Okay. Yeah. All right. You need a tire for your blue motorcycle. Check. Let me get one of those for you. Yeah. Okay. We understand the way that works. And this happens 14 times a day. But when this lady called, she was like, I need a Metzler 170 by 80 by 17. And I was like, whoa. I'd prefer this. I'd prefer an M88, but I'll take this. Ma'am, are you calling me from Metzler? Are you checking up to see what kind of inventory I'm carrying? Are you calling me from another dealership to see what we're charging for tires so you can undercut our prices?
You say ma'am or Pam?
No, exactly. Pam, this is you at Sills. I know it. Right. I know you're price shopping me. Goddamn BMWs. So I'm like, okay. And so the first one, I look it up and I'm like, we don't have one of those. So the second one she calls out and it was a 15-inch tire. And I'm like, we don't have that. And, 15-inch tires are for intruders and PC 800s and certain shadows. They're usually for cruiser bikes or PC 800s.
I think Dunlop's the only one that makes one for that.
For the PC 800, yes. Yeah, the K581 or whatever. Like, they're the last one that still does that tire for the PC. Well, so she asked for the second tire. I'm like, no. Third tire. No, definitely not. Ma'am, I got to ask. Where are you calling from? Oh, like Freedom Rides. And I'm like, well, where's that? Tallahassee, Florida. Come again? She goes, yes, we have 4 or 6 bikes that are in the back service department up on the list or something, waiting for tires, and nobody has any tires right now. So I'm calling dealerships
Around the country.
and I said, how long did it take you to get to Cleveland? And she goes, about 9 hours.
Oh, jeez.
And so she's been calling dealerships to just try and find any one of those 6 or 8 tires to get them shipped to her at any expense so she can get those customers' bikes off the lift. And I've been in that position. This is a very, very, very bad time to need certain things for your motorcycle. And we have certain bikes in the back that we have run into that where there just aren't any of these parts. The part you need doesn't exist. Well, but I saw it on eBay. Yeah, you did. But I saw it on RevZilla or Partzilla or Dogzilla. That's fine. They have that on their website. They'll swipe your credit card. The dog who goes to get the parts is never coming back. He's gone to live on a farm somewhere upstate.
In fact, if you look right now on RevZilla and a lot of these places, because I was looking for an MRA windscreen for my Z900.
Yep.
It'll say, like, it says in stock, and then below it says shipping can take 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, oh, it's really in stock.
That means we're going to hopefully figure shit out by then.
Yeah,
That's
right.
exactly what that means. It's not in stock. It's not in stock.
Everything I've ordered from Honda
Yeah.
has been, they said it's in stock.
Yep.
And then they send me an email that's, this is a special order.
Right.
And then then a month later or 6 weeks later, I get the part.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And that's the world we live in at this particular moment. There is such a log jam between freighters and containers and docks and truckers.
Suez Canal.
Oh, my buddy just took his bike and he's got an 02 1800 also. He's got the R model.
Right.
And it was 3 months to get a tire.
Yeah.
And they were going to we're going to do Shinkos. And I'm like, okay, I've used Shinkos before.
Right.
It's decent. They're like, yeah, it's $230 a tire.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, for a Shinko.
I'm not paying Metzler money for a Shinko.
I don't need 17 of them.
And you said dark side.
I did actually. I'm like, you need a dark side now.
You need a dark side
camera's
the
there,
front
so-
end, too.
Right, that's double dark side.
Double dark sided.
That means you take a rear tire, turn it around, and you put it on the front.
Did you notice that
I
he
didn't care
had
for that one?
Did you notice that Chris has the thing down when he said that he was going like this?
And
Your lack of faith is disturbing.
right? So I'm telling him about this. I'm like, you can't get tires. I'll fit you with a tire.
Right. Yeah,
Right?
that's it.
I got this down, right? And he's like, no. And I'm
I didn't know
thinking to myself,
Hankook made a motorcycle tire. They don't.
And he's on the other side, right? Like he's closer to retirement. I'm like, no, I don't want you dark siding, right? Like I love it. You would never talk me out of it. That thing's getting it when it's
Right.
not under warranty anymore.
Right.
As my warranty dealer sits right there. But yeah, I'm like,
Phil, I
no.
fixed the bike. Why? It doesn't need a kickstand anymore. I just walk off. I just walk
Isn't that what I
away.
just showed you? The thing almost stands up on its own.
He's got a Mickey
you go.
Thompson on the back.
Yeah, there you go.
Flat.
Oh, yeah. There you
Yeah,
go.
right?
Perfect example.
Perfect example.
Yeah, that's a Kumho. Yeah.
That's got a lot of lean angles.
And you know what? That's one of those 80,000 mile tires from Walmart.
Right.
You're like, it's got an 80,000 mile tread wear guarantee.
Yeah, you're
You may
not
never
joking. I
need another
changed.
tire again.
You're not joking. Like I got 90,000 on there. I changed that tire twice.
Wow.
Once before that to another motorcycle tire.
I mean,
because I came from a dark side.
They're a 45,000 mile tire at easily
With a
on
3,000 pound car sitting on them.
let alone a
Right.
bike.
And then there's me on there. So I was like, and when I sold it, I was like, you can look at it. He goes, that thing's brand new. I'm like, that thing ain't
It
fucking
is
brand
nowhere
new.
near brand new. Wait a second. It's got a 200 tread wear rating,
Right.
yet it is 90,000 miles old and still has hairs on it.
Right.
Go figure.
Are there any tricks to making them more round and not just flat? No, you just don't
So
care.
actually,
Overinflated.
I kid you not. You
Okay.
want to actually underinflate them. We had this
Underinflated. We talked
conversation.
about it, yeah.
And
So the corners break down when you go.
not to be fair, yes and no. You want to
be
underinflate
fair.
it a little bit, right? Because you want to feel a little cushion. But you want to look at the tire profile that fits you. So, like the Intruder tire, if I can find a picture of that, actually had a rounded profile. You would have thought it was a going out of shape motorcycle tire,
okay.
right?
Well, is there any logic into getting a little bit wider tires
And then
when you
pinching
put it on a rim?
Yeah, the rim
then
pinches it.
It makes it bow a little
Yeah,
bit.
the
or no?
rim.
No, not really.
It's
It's
not going to do that because of the belts and everything.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
wants to be
It
flat.
doesn't have any kind of give like that.
The
But
science of dark siding.
Yeah, right. But that patch will stay. And as I was describing,
Yeah.
I replaced what I call drag nuts. I don't know the real name for them because
They're pegs. They're peg pegs.
I
They're peg pegs.
I
Drag
dick
nuts is a
around
good
in
name
bikes
for
and I
them.
break
Yeah.
them more than I do anything with them. But, I replace them about once a year,
Yeah.
once every 2 years because, I mean, I'll lean that 1800 on a corner going 90 miles an hour without even thinking twice.
And that's a porky pig. I mean, that's a heavy bike.
Oh, plus, not joking.
Plus, you never have chicken strips. All the guys are like, damn, dude, look at you. You're using the whole tire, man.
Yeah, well, you know, a funny thing about that bike, though, is like, as big as it is, 1800, it fucking thing caps out at 115 if you're lucky.
Yep. Well, that's right. It's a diesel.
Right?
So, I mean,
like... And it breaks your crotch, man. You're like this, but then again, so does that thing.
Right. Yeah.
Holy shit!
Yeah. So on the Kimco, when you're riding the Kimco, if we took the motorcycle away, if we took the scooter away from you and just left you suspended in the air, we could then put Photoshop anything in between your legs.
You got that right.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing. So if you're riding the Kimco AK550, people don't realize that you're riding in the exact same riding position. There was a Kawasaki they did for like 7 minutes that was called the Kawasaki Vulcan 2000, which was this insane motorcycle they built for like a week. And I'll pull up a picture of it because basically the only thing I can tell you about the Kawasaki Vulcan 2000 was it was all about more is better, right?
I knew a guy that had one.
Is that the one that has that little
He was from
front tire?
Hawaii.
No, it was everything about this bike was obscene. And it was just that kind of a thing that it looks like a very, very normal motorcycle. When you take a look at it, there's nothing initially about it that is like off-putting. It looks a hell of a lot like the Honda 800.
Or a V-Star. It looks more like a V-Star.
It looks like all of them, except everything has been put on the copying machine at 120%. So it's a 2000 cc motorcycle.
2000?
And it benefits from a 4-speed transmission.
Wow.
Because
it's a car.
2000 cc motorcycle.
Right. Well, every Vulcan's a 4-speed anyway because they don't have second gear.
They don't have well second gear left with the second owner.
Yeah.
Should just have a 2-speed power glide.
That's what I was saying. It should just be a power glide. Just do a Boss Haas with it and just have 2 speeds.
So that's
Low
1,000
and on.
cc's per jug.
Yes, it is 1,000
So
cc's
how big
per
is
jug.
that fucking piston then?
Bigger than my ashtray. Yeah, like it's a big fucking thing. Yeah.
So I don't want to segue, but we're talking about this. So shifting, right? Yeah. So I'm a non-clutch shifter.
Right. You just match your revs.
Right. How do you guys feel about that? Like, I've never heard you talk about it before.
If
you
you're
put
good,
90,000 miles on a bike like that, it must not be a problem.
One clutch.
Right.
One clutch, right?
Yeah. I've
90,000 miles
90,000
in one
miles.
clutch.
Yeah.
So it works.
I don't think.
Okay. You can look at it that way. I mean, I took the plates apart and made sure they were good a couple times, right? But they went right back in.
Yep.
Right.
A lot of times upshifting doesn't make a difference with the clutch or not if you time it right. But I think downshifting you might want to use a clutch a little more on that.
Yeah, even downshifting, right?
Really, nothing?
Don't get me wrong.
If you wait long
fucked up
enough-
sometimes and you know it.
I've heard that downshifting thing a bunch of times. Why? Why is it bad to downshift without the clutch?
I think it just locks everything up. Well,
Because you're impact
slamming,
forces.
you're slamming the gears in.
How much does the motorcycle weigh?
It depends on how skilled you are at doing it.
Exactly.
And if you do it all the time,
Right.
and you're as skilled as he probably is,
Right.
he synchro meshes
can match
everything
it.
himself.
Exactly.
I'm not saying I'm good.
But how would you say?
I admit, like, I fuck up.
Yeah, but
I do fuck up.
if the shit lasted 90,000 miles, you didn't fuck up that badly. You know what I mean?
But at that point,
but it's not.
You do it at the right time before the engine comes down.
Yep.
Yeah.
but at that point, you're using more your brakes.
Well,
than the
you know
clutch,
what?
right?
I'm going to ride around for a while with no clutch. One of my first bikes I started out with was a TS 250. The clutch was blown up. I bought the bike for $50.
Yeah.
I ended up putting washers on instead of springs in it. I bolted the clutch pack together so it wouldn't slip, so I could ride it. And I rode that for a whole summer just with no clutch.
No clutch.
I'd start it up, I'd push it a little bit, jump on it, kick it in gear, and go.
Yep.
And I rode for a whole summer and had a lot of fun on a bike with no clutch.
No clutch.
Well, I think I benefited from the fact that all my bikes have always been drive shaft. Right. So like you let off on the gas, like it starts braking. So it's real easy to get it right into the sweet spot to drop it down without a problem.
And I mean, I would,
on the flip side,
I would start and stop with no clutch.
Yep.
As soon as you get going too slow, kick it into neutral.
Yep.
Oh, you got me on the start then. I always got
And
it
then
in first gear.
when you go to start out, you give it a little duck push, just enough to get it moving.
Yep.
Let no throttle and click it in and quickly give it just so it doesn't stall.
Oh, yeah.
And I used to ride no clutch all the time, and like people kind of talk me out of the no clutch thing for downshifting.
Nah, it's fine. You know what? And I'm not saying you're going to be able to do it on Steve's bike. So on his 900,
Yeah.
his KZ 900 sport bike, it's not going to like it because everything that bike does, its rev matching all happens at 5,000, 6,000 RPM.
Well, I can tell you that the transmission is butter smooth.
Oh, dude.
Using the clutch. Yeah. And it leads me to believe that you probably wouldn't even need to use the clutch because the transmission
and it's also got a slipper clutch.
And on top of that, so I went to Web Bike or whatever it is, and they sell a bearing kit that you put over the shifter shaft and it supports it. So now the shifter shaft has an extra bearing that's supported.
Yeah.
It's fucking unbelievable. You'll never miss a shift now.
Well, there you go.
Because like before that, the shifter shaft was like that long sticking out. So now it's only like literally the thing goes and it's supported right at the end. On. It's fucking ridiculous.
I was starting to miss shifts because I got lazy.
Because you got lazy.
It was so good that I felt like I just had to wiggle my big toe and it was making a shift.
Yeah. You won't do that now though. Now with that thing on there, you can't fuck it up. It's fucking crazy, dude. It's so good.
Think about shifting it. It's
well, I rode the Hunter Cub to work today. This morning,
not going to be like that.
And the Hunter Cub is like, it's one of those ones where like, oh, this is great. And the first time I shift, I'm like, oh, that's right. I got to shift with my fucking shoulder on this thing because like the travel on the shifter is about 7.5 inches. So it's like, okay, it's got a heel toe shifter on it. So you're like, oh, I'm going to be sexy and use the heel part of the heel toe. The human foot doesn't bend that far. Like you can't drop your heel below your ball of your foot that low to make it shift correctly.
You have to be
you got to toe it up.
I toed it up.
We were talking about
toe
that
up from the flow up, man. Yeah, that's it.
I need to do that too on the CT.
And I mean, I stage the clutch and everything, like like the smooth way to shift those bikes. And I do stage the clutch, so I can stage the clutch and do a wheelie on it. All the silly tricks that you can do with the bike with no clutch. But fuck me, man. Like, there's never been a bike that has been like, okay, and we're going to shift tomorrow, I guess.
It's not a bike with no clutch. It's a bike with an auto clutch.
It's a bike that has a clutch that is operated by your foot as part of moving the shifter, right? So like on your way to shifting a gear.
It's like a recluse clutch.
Well, yeah, it's exactly right.
With a foot clutch.
Well, it's like they said, we're going to put the transmission, the next gear in your neighbor's house. And walking across your yard to your neighbor's house, in the way, you're going to clutch it. So you're going to clutch it on the way to the shift. Neither of which is going to happen when you want it to. So the best you can hope for is not looking drunk. Like if you're riding a Trail 110 or a CT90 or something, it's best to ride those in the grass and dirt and stuff like that because downshifting on one of those is a great example of like misery.
Doesn't happen.
Either you don't downshift until you're stopped, in which case you go through the whole cassette 1, 2, 3, 4, or you downshift but you don't let your foot up. No, you don't let your foot up.
No, then you rev it a little bit, right? And then you ease off,
and then you ease up. Yeah. So because you put your foot down means you've selected the gear. You're letting your foot up, which means you're clutching into it, and that letting your foot up is activating the clutch. So it's really now that trick. What Steve just said, like that technique of easing into it on the downshift, when you have somebody. If you have a Trail 90 or if you have a Super Cub, you don't ever throw your keys to somebody who's never ridden one because they will do the dumb thing that everyone does. Yeah. Oh, fucking it's hilarious because you're like, here, take it for a ride. And you're like, oh shit, they've never ridden one of these before. Mm-hmm. And then you'll see them come in and they'll come in for a landing and they'll try to go from 4th gear to 3rd gear. And you'll see that back wheel lock up big as Christmas. And it's the tire's like an inch and a half wide.
It's something that you shaved off with your Manscaper.
Exactly.
I mean, on the old CT90s, if you're in a particular gear and it's wound up, like going down a hill or you can't shift up or shift down.
No, you can't.
It won't shift.
It will not shift.
Until it winds down.
Until it settles down. Yeah. Every time I've done it, I've been like, oh shit, I just let this person ride a bike. They don't know how to ride yet because here comes the downshift. And then eventually rev matches. And then they're like, whoa, that was scary, so I'm going to downshift again. And you're like, oh, no, don't do that again. And they will skid the back tire through 3 gears and then rev it to stop. And I'm like, well, or you could just arrive in 4th gear and then go down because the bike doesn't care. The bike
won't stall.
It will not stall.
You know what? You can arrive in 4th gear and just leave it in 4th gear.
And just leave it in 4th gear.
Probably take off. If
it will take off
too fast.
I've done it. Yeah. It's really good for people who aren't good at motorcycle. If you take somebody who's not good at motorcycle and you give them a Trail 90 and you put it in 4th gear for them, after 2 circles of the parking lot, they'll be good at motorcycle because they'll be like, okay, I've maximized that skill. What can I do now that I've gone 12? Like you're ready for another gear, my friend. Am I to get another gear? Yes, and it's going to be a lower one now. It's going to be more exciting. We did that in the parking lot today. We sold your spade. So we sold your spade, and the guy, it's his first motorcycle. What?
Your spade?
Yeah, we sold a spade. He had a spade.
He owned one
I
for
know.
2 weeks.
It was that dark colored one that was in the front of the showroom there.
I love that bike.
Yeah, he sold
I
it.
liked it too, but
It drank too much gas for him.
Steve,
Yeah,
it had a range of 84 miles.
I'm disappointed.
again. Fucking Steve.
It's like your bladder.
It's not enough capacity. Yeah. So the kid that bought it, he's a little gun shy because he's only ever had scooters. So you really super nice guy. And so I was like, well, let me show you something about this bike that's kind of magical. It's only 150 cc's, but you can do this. And I put it in first gear and I let the clutch out, just let it out like I made a mistake. So I just let the clutch out and then put my left hand in the air and did circles in the parking lot, with no clutch. And he's like, wait a second. I'm like, yeah, you pretty much, it's hard to stall this bike. It's really, really hard to screw this bike up at a stoplight because despite only having 150 cc's, it does have a fairly decent flywheel in it.
The SSRs.
Yeah.
I got off the one and let the clutch out, and I felt it moving a little bit. And I looked down, and I didn't have the back wheels going.
Yeah, it's just digging.
I'm like, okay, well,
Yeah.
I left it in gear. I left the clutch out. I'm not giving any gas, and it's just going.
Yeah. It refuses to stall. It refuses to stall.
On the night that I still haven't apologized to Steve for basically blowing up half of his backyard over there.
that was my yard.
Oh, sorry. It was J-Town.
It was J-Town, yeah.
That's a ghetto anyway. I don't care.
We did some fun shit. Like those things were going, but I had a couple of good wheelies. I'm finally starting to figure out some wheelies on that thing. You got to really
Probably have to get
position
way
yourself.
back.
Yeah, way back and hold it there.
Extended swing arm's gonna make.
Yeah, the extended
Yeah.
swing arm makes it a little harder to wheelie those. Yeah.
We
Just a
had
wee
fun. Dan was ripping. He was getting out there and doing his thing.
Having a good time on the SSR.
Yeah, but
Steve was ripping after dark, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, he's going to hit a tree.
No lights?
No lights, no.
No
But that
lights.
was also I had cocktail vision going, so that was fun.
okay, good.
I really want
He
to
was
work on my
moving.
SS. I should have done because I have a regulator rectifier. I could have put a headlight on it.
Right.
Meant to do a seat. No, it's just
Yeah.
gonna go as is, bro.
Yep,
I
yep.
got like $29. I bought the world's brightest headlamp off the Amazons.
That's gonna be
Yeah. And it's just like that thing's
gonna be-
devastating. I went to the door the other day. I was fixing my refrigerator and some food delivery service person or somebody came up knocking on the door and I forgot it was on my head. And I just was walked
Blinded
out
him.
and all he saw was like a ball of light walking through my house.
He's like, this is it.
Yeah, I'm sure he
This
thought
is the
it
big
was
one.
aliens had landed. It was a ghost sighting or something. And I was like, yeah, what do you want? And he's like,
Turn
this
off.
was and this was noon, so he was already wearing his daytime eyes, but just the same, this thing is brighter than God and for cheap. So, and it's got 2 really good lithium batteries in it, which is I'm like, those batteries have value, let alone the whole thing around them. So very cool. Does anybody want to hear a question from one of our Patreons
love
about
to.
SSRs?
No,
love
not
to.
really. I'm good.
Yeah, oh, you're good. So if anybody doesn't know, we've got Patreon, Patreon ClevelandMoto. It's where you can buy us stuff. Yay. And this is how this happens when we sound better.
Is that how it works?
That's that's exactly it. Yeah. Well, he's a Patreon subscriber and also just apparently
Well, he's a
platinum.
patron saint at this
He
point.
is a patron saint at this
Yeah.
point for fucking sure. We don't use the word legend around here a lot. You're getting that word thrown at you as much as we can. So Benny, who's a Patreon, and so the party member thing, you become the party member and you send me a message and you're like, hey, dude, I just signed up to be at the party level. And yeah, well, I'm going to send you the secret number. Right. So he sent this out and he goes, now hold on. He says, I have a question. I have an SSR 125.
Okay.
Oh, okay. And he says, I'm having some off-idle issues. Okay. So you're having off-idle issues with your SSR 125.
What kind of gas did you use?
Well, I'm going to assume, first of all, that just means that when you crack it, anything, it dies, which is not an uncommon problem with motorcycles in general. So I'm going to take a stab at it first. First thing I would say is, yeah, gas is a good thing with those. And the other thing with those is how many miles or how many hours do you have on it? Because it is a good idea. Change the oil after the first hour, then change the oil after the third hour, and then change the oil again after that. Not a bad idea. But
Some rapid fire oil changes.
rapid fire oil changes are a really good idea. And then the other thing that I can tell you, a very good thing for that is if you're throwing octane at the problem, it's probably not the best. We're running ethanol free gas at the farm right now, so at the compound. And are we running 90 octane or 89 octane?
It's 90.
90 octane, I think.
Yeah, 90.
Yeah, 90 no ethanol. And so running anything no ethanol is better than running 94 with ethanol or running, race gas with ethanol. throwing octane at the problem in a lower compression engine is not a great idea. So you can, if you are over octaning the bike, you will get a stumble off the crack, right? Then the other thing is, well, there is an air fuel mixture screw on the bike. The bike does have an air fuel mixture screw that you can actually get to, and it's not plugged out like most of them are on modern machines.
I couldn't find it. I was looking for it on my bike because the pipe is turned completely purple on mine.
Yeah, super purple.
This is crazy. Yeah.
So on the SSRs, we have one right there. On the left side of the carburetor is a screw at an angle that is your idle adjustment, and that just literally jacks up your slide.
Yeah.
And then on the right-hand side of the carburetor going in horizontally is another screw, and that other screw is your air fuel mixture screw. Okay. So those are the only two screws that you can see on the SSR carburetor. And yeah, you can do that. Now, that air fuel mixture screw is only good for idle. So keep in mind that air fuel mixture screw is not going to help your air fuel mixture at half throttle or full chat or anything else. It's just going to be the idle. So if the bike is stumbling off idle, which means you're sitting there and it's going bop, 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 no problem, you crack the throttle and it goes, then that's what that air fuel mixture is for, right then and there. Before you do that, though, make sure your spark plug's good. Make sure your spark plug's clean, because it is a single cylinder, so it puts a lot of reliance on that single spark plug. It's a D8 spark plug, and it does come with a Chinese version of a torch, I guess. But what was nice enough about the Chinese spark plug that's in there is they did use the NGK coding system. So you can actually use an NGK D8 ES spark plug. Works perfectly. They just only gave you half of the numbers. So the spark plug is like, what size plug is this? Well, it says D8 on it. Well, that sounds like a pretty good start. So let's open up the NGK cabinet and grab anything that starts with D8. Yeah, because that's the length of the threads and that's the heat range. So length of the threads and the heat range gets you where you need to be, right? Everything else is a modifier, like it's platinum tipped or whatever.
I think he needs to clean his carb.
Clean the carb. Yeah.
And I would change the plug too.
Yep.
Just to see.
Oh, buy it.
I always clean the carb.
Yeah. Invest $2.50 in an NGK spark plug. Make sure you got the right octane gas in it and give the carb a quick clean. Swish it out, We don't know how long it's been sitting there.
Maybe you picked up something in your fuel, maybe.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I was going to say, so like, I fuck up things more than I do anything. But like, as I was telling Phil, like when I'm doing something in my driveway out where I live, like someone sees you doing something, they bring their shit over. They're like, you do this. I'm like, no, you don't understand. I don't do this. Like, do you see the tire? It's from a car. It's not a motorcycle. I don't do this. And so one of the things that I found more often than not for people that have what you guys call adventure riding, which I don't do, is shit gets in their tank because they don't have a fuel filter, right? Mm-hmm. And they're filling it up after they've had a good old time. And so they unscrew the cap, which is fine, and shit gets in there.
Yeah.
And so many times I have found that it's not that the carb's dirty, that there's literally shit hitting the carb or the float, and it can't do anything.
And that is one of my, you don't just clean the carb, you clean the whole fuel system, starting from the tank, from the cap all the way to the bottom of the float.
Don't be afraid to spend some money on gas letting it run out.
Put a filter in it.
Well, that's just it, right? Cut the line, put a filter in that you can see, right? Not one of these knockoff, like, can't see the shit, because, like, if you can't see through it.
on the Amazon.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or if you let Renee order them. We made a mistake one time. We were like, oh, these Visus filters, they're the best, man. Like, this is the greatest filter ever. It's down to like 0.3 microns or whatever.
Renee, order like a million of these.
And I told Renee, I was like, we need more of these. These are really good. Like, I'm totally happy with these. They come in the right sizes for the fuel line we use. That's fantastic. You know what? Renee, just order 50 of them. So Renee's like, okay, cool. Order 50 of them. Well, they came on a 12-pack card or an 18-pack card. So it was one of those cards you hang on the top of your wall and people take one.
You had 1,000 of those fucking
I
things.
think it was. I think we ended up with over 1,000 of them because I think there's 24 of them on a card.
Well, how many times have you had to order 1,000?
Well, this is what's hilarious. This is what's crazy is because I caught myself the other day. I was telling somebody, I was like, oh, well, shit, I got 50 of those in the back. Don't sweat it. And I went in the back and I was like, wait a second. What happened? Are we out of these? And she's like, yeah, we got to order more. I was like, well, you're good at that. Go ahead. And I was like, the last whack you ordered lasted almost 10 years. So have at it. Go ahead and make us a gold member with,
I tell you what, that's
Visu
the last
filters.
thing you want to run out in this shop, though.
You fucking know it. In our world of Cleveland, park it in October and don't visit it again until March. Like, fuel filtration is super important. Like,
Is that the one with the sintered metal?
Yeah.
Like, Yeah, those are good.
Yeah, nothing gets through them.
I gotta be honest, I've never had a bike parked that long.
Right.
Like, I ride that shit in the winter. Yep. As long as my ice bucket, and that is no lie, in the wintertime, I will have a bucket with water in it. As long as that thing's not iced over, I will ride.
You're fair game, huh?
I have melted snow pants to pipes before.
Yeah.
With a car tire in the back of your bike, I mean...
Right?
A nice all season.
You're right, exactly.
Snow chains, man.
Right, absolutely.
Just go straight for the snow chains, man.
Right.
Yeah,
Now
roll
it makes sense what he's doing.
No, to be fair though, right? Like I don't clean bikes. I don't clean bikes, right? So like I ride in the wintertime. It eats the shit out of them. Like I will plastic dip the shit out of rims and everything else.
Yep.
To be fair, I plastic dip everything. That thing's getting fucking painted here pretty soon.
The salt, the motorcycles that have been hit by salt, even if it's 1 year, the bike will never be a prom queen ever again in her life.
Oh, especially the lacquer.
1 year in the salt. The alloys that they use for fork stanchions, so like the fork legs are made of a type of aluminum that is just porosity.
Yep.
And once the little plastic sheeting or the shellac or the varnish they put on it from the factory that keeps it shiny when you're buying it, once that goes away, then they're just gone. There's nothing left of them. And then the chrome. How the fuck does hard chrome on the front of a fork leg or stanchion literally just go like shotgun pattern of rust
through it?
I didn't understand, but like day one of our suspension clinic, the guy was like, hey, by the way, I bet you don't do this when your motorcycles come in for service and you loosen the triple clamps because you're going to do forks. Yeah. I bet you don't rotate the fork stanchions. I was like, why would I do that? He's like, you're supposed to. Like, why? Well, because the leading edge has got all the bug guts and all the stuff on it, and that can attack the chrome and stuff. So every time you service the bike, you should rotate the fork stanchions so that you're putting the parts that have been hit by bugs and rust and shit like that, or in rocks, putting that towards the back and exposing a brand new fresh surface so you don't have the front edge of your fork stanchions literally just being pitted to fuck, causing fork seal leaks. And yeah, it's true. Guess what? Every fucking fork stanchion I've ever had to replace was only shitty on one side. Yeah.
Well, the worst is when you see the European dudes because they ride in the shit all the time.
Constantly.
They're like, man, you look at the bike and you're like, God, that thing's sad. And he's like, yeah, it's a 2020. I've had it for like 6 months. Like,
well, you laugh about that, but I bought the 1800, right? So I went from 800 to 1800, right? And I bought it in the middle of winter because great time to buy a bike.
Best deal ever.
Right? Like, so, and my dad took me down and we had a trailer and whatnot because it sucked and it was Southern Ohio. Like, we drove, but, you know, that's what we did. And he had a trailer and whatnot where we're coming back and he goes, what do you think about riding this back home? Because I got to drop the trailer off over here where I borrowed it from, and home is like, another like hour or so that way. He goes, what do you think? And I'm like, well, why don't we pull off here where it looks like they at least plowed the actual like little area, and let me see
we don't have to go
like
all the way to where the trailer was.
Right. So I get on this thing, and again, 800, 1800. I'm like, crack. Fuck. I said, I can do this. I froze 5 minutes into this, froze my ass off, got it home. Bike never looked right the same after that.
No,
like,
it was
just completely
the
fucked
pretty
it.
was done.
It was done.
It was done.
I rode my Super Tenere home when I picked that up back in the day, 11 miles in 31-degree weather through snowstorms. Yeah. And it's the last thing you ever want to do again, man. Like it took me, I got inside and I took 3 hot showers, a bath. I rolled myself in 2 comforters and I still couldn't fucking, No, the hair fell off naturally at that point. I was frozen, man. That sucked.
Wintertime's about the only time I wear a helmet.
It's bad when you have a half an inch of ice.
Ice on the beard. Ice in the beard is you're like, you check yourself out in the mirror or when you walk into a store and you're like, oh shit, I'm that guy.
Well, the worst was I bought these like $250 Climb fucking snowmobile gloves that had like 3 different layers and all this shit. And they were like guaranteed down to -15, right? And then it was raining and it lasted 4 minutes. And then they were just a giant wet pillow of shit on my hands and it just sucked.
There are a few things in the world that beat heated grips.
Yeah, that's civilized.
Or if you don't have heated grips, the hot packs.
Yeah.
So like if you don't have heated grips, you should just buy those hot packs a case at a time because
you need 3, 1 on your nuts and 2 on your hands.
Yeah, that's it. And because those things have saved my ass more times than I
It's
can
the
fucking
18
count.
pack that hangs on the wall.
It is the 18 pack that hangs on the wall. That's why Renee's ordered 10,000 of them now. Hey, Renee, we should order 200 of these. It
That
only
AK
comes in box of 100.
That AK, by the way, has ridiculous heated grips.
Yeah.
Because I, again, got stuck in the rain, right?
Yep.
Now I went from sweating my ass off to like freezing all of a sudden. So I'm like, I'm going to turn the heated grips on low. I turn them on. Motherfucker. Fucking turn it off. I'll freeze. They were hot.
Do you guys
Are
remember?
those just a single like on-off type thing?
No, there's 3 levels.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's 3 levels, but hot is motherfucking hot.
Well, they expect you to have gloves on, and
Right.
you got to go through all the gloves. And,
Yeah.
Hot's way too hot.
I was reading it. It's like 55 degrees Celsius, 65 degrees Celsius, and like 75 degrees Celsius.
Which
I'm like,
is
fuck
over
this.
100 and some degrees.
Right. Like, but you don't realize that. You're like, setting 1, that should be, no, fuck.
75 degrees science is fucking hot, man. That's really, really hot. That's super duper hot. So Harley Davidson did what we talked about them doing 2 podcasts ago when we were making fun of their new Sportster S because they killed the Sportster.
Right.
The Sportster got killed, right? Sportster's gone. So the Sportster's gone. So they brought back the Pan America Sportster. So they got the Pan America Sportster, which they did actually produce, and it does look like the pictures that they did file the patents for. Yay.
They need to put bigger pipes on it.
Okay, glad you said it. Fucking obviously, that is, let's just straight up talk about the goddamn elephant in the room again, if we could. Harley Davidson has finally, they finally perfected the art of selling aftermarket exhaust systems.
They're like, nobody can actually tolerate this exhaust,
They
so they'll
said-
have to buy a new
It
one.
just
Where
looks
is
like
it?
big tits.
It's so, I mean, it's just so ridiculous.
Well, so is the tire. Look at the tires on that.
Well, it
fucking
does have
thing.
the giant, ridiculous tires. Moto Guzzi did that with their bobber. So with the bobber, they put the giant, chunky, it's the old Firestone thing of vintage motorcycles have those big Firestone car tires on them. And he likes them because they're dark-sided, pre-dark-sided. Yep. But what is funny is these fucking giant heat shields on this thing. Like the exhaust, somebody spent an hour and a half designing the gas tank. Somebody spent, a week designing the tail section for the seat. So it looks like an old XR750 flat tracker. Somebody spent a lot of time on the swing arm and figuring out how low suspension should be so your balls could, drag on the ground. But those exhausts were literally plucked out of the 1983 Yamaha catalog.
I was going to say some engineer had his kid draw a picture for that. So like, I'm going to be cute and use this.
Yeah, exactly. Those exhausts are it's just a collection of heat shields. Like there's no exhaust there. It's just 17 layers of heat shield. It's like a bloomin' onion. But that is the kind of thing that the whole rest of the motorcycle, I do like it. I admit it. I like the look of that motorcycle. However, they have done a great job of ensuring aftermarket exhaust company sales because nobody's going to leave that on. And again, in that, Ducati made a scrambler that had a low pipe. Harley Davidson made a Sportster that has a high pipe. Well, there you go. We're in bizarro world. Everything's backwards. Nothing makes sense. Yeah. It's front wheel drive too. That was a nice thing. Yeah.
The motor's nice though, from everything I've heard.
It's the detuned Pan America. Yep. So they've taken the crazy cam timing adjusters out because those are expensive. And they just made it a regular traditional, I guess as traditional as you're going to say on this motorcycle, but it's 121 horsepower and that's nothing to sneeze at. And, there's nothing fucking wrong with it. As looking at it goes, it totally looks like a great bike. They gave up 30 horsepower and they gave up 2 torques. So as we like to say at ClevelandMoto, tuned for the mid-range. Yep. That's exactly it. So yeah, I mean, rock on Harley Davidson. I hope that's what it needs. The Bronx certainly didn't survive. So
I like how they put like the smallest human being ever on that bike to make it look big.
Oh yeah. She's 105 pounds soaking wet. And then the guy that's behind her, you see, he's in the full crouched over my back hurts position.
Right. Yeah.
So she's got the arch in her back looking all proud and shit like that. But she's 5'0". But he's in the I hate my job position right now. So that's what's happening. So you got a cool tool over there.
No. It's just a show and tell item.
Okay, what's your show and tell item?
It's not that cool, but it's
a red plastic box.
Something I'm happy with that I think everybody should buy. I finally,
it's
all right.
I
It's getting
became
passed
an
around.
adult, and I decided.
Yeah. It's
looks like
you got
plug wrenches.
Nice.
Yeah,
I got
that.
sick of looking. Every time you go to pull a spark plug, you're like, okay, where's my spark plug socket?
Yep.
Okay, grab that one. Nope, wrong one. Grab that one. Wrong one. I'm like, oh, I don't have the right spark plug socket.
It doesn't happen to me.
Yep.
Yeah,
Now
exactly.
I spent $13 on
$13
Amazon,
on the Amazons.
and I
you
have
know
a
what?
full kit of every size.
And what's really great about that too is because they did.
I spent the extra $2 to get the red kit.
You get the red box?
in the box.
Yeah, but you got the metrics and you got the, you're no longer sneaking the 5/8 in when you really should have had a 14 millimeter. You're no longer, we know how that works.
And good timing for Mid Ohio because now you can.
That's going to Mid Ohio.
Yeah, you can test
we have
whatever.
a spark plug wrench for any bike.
What
any
is
plug.
hilarious is everybody in their life has gotten, well, maybe podcast listeners are too young for this, but there was a period of time when every third Christmas, I would get this weird metal flat toolkit that was like dollar store back then. And it was like 12 inches wide and it was like 4 inches deep, and you'd flip it over and it had like the shittiest blow molded plastic insert in it. And it had a ratchet that worked one time. And it was, a 3/8 inch ratchet, and then it had a 3/8 to 1/4 inch adapter that could take one torque. But it was like this kit. And I was like, wow, these are the worst wrenches ever. These are just fucking awful. This
Well,
whole
these are good
set
too
is
because
awful.
they have the hex, so you can use a
Exactly.
crescent wrench. If it's a real tight
That's
spot,
the
sometimes
difference.
you can-
Yeah, being able to get a hex head on those is something you definitely want to look for when you're talking about sport plug
Does it have the rubber giggy inside there to help?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe
nice.
so. They were supposed
Some
to.
some of them do. Yeah.
I'm disappointed that
Some of them
set
do.
does not have one for Pratt and Whitney
Oh, for a
radial engine.
yeah.
It's an incomplete set.
It's an incomplete set, right? You don't have the super stubby shorty one for
Yeah,
your
or the one the
For your-
plugs were this big
for your
around.
Tecumseh. Yeah. Yeah, you don't have that.
Those big, huge plugs. Yeah.
I have been collecting. I've been fetishy about T-handle wrenches. So I have now collected way too many T-handle wrenches. I'm going to hop up real quick to get them. And in the meantime, what I do want people to talk about while I'm going over to get these T-handle wrenches is I want people to talk about if you have embraced T-handles yet.
Oh, yeah. Well, Dan got us that T-handle ratchet. I've used that shit more than I even want to talk about.
all the time.
Yeah, that was a great addition, man. And
I have hanging up still in the package. It's a T-handle. It's I believe it's in 1/2 inch. Maybe it's 3/8. But it's this contraption, and I really should take it out of the package. My buddy bought it for me, and it's basically like it's meant to like you could put a socket. You can put it on something. You can put your ratchet here.
Oh.
And it has a gear drive that you can you're supposed to be able to go like this or like this, or put an impact here and have it go like this. And I'm like,
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Or you can, I think, lock it and just go like this.
Sure.
I have went crazy. Parts Unlimited does a lot of motorcycle supplies, obviously one of the largest motorcycle suppliers in the world, but they also do tons of motorcycle tools, service tools. And I went bonkers with their catalog. And so the first thing is I got the Motion Pros T-handled for all the metrics. So all the metric hex heads, and they have the ball end on the one end, which is just for light duty poking around at the wrong angle. But then you got the hex head on the fixed hex head on the other end for where it's no longer a discussion. So you got that super long handle on it, but just feel them. They just feel nice.
And you got a small adjuster on this side.
Right. So they just, yeah. So I just love how they're smooth, right? So I think that's really cool and beautiful. And then since I'm geeking out on T-handles, I found this bastard, which is magnificent. So this is a T-handle, but as a T-handle, it has literally 4 1/4 inch drives. So our 3 1/4 inch drives. And then on each corner, there's an 8 mil, a 13 mil, and a 10 mil. If this doesn't solve all of your Japanese motorcycle problems in one fucking wrench, I don't know what does.
Well, these
You should have 2 10 mils though.
Okay.
Because you're going to lose one of them.
You're going to lose one of them. Yeah, it should just hold 2. So this is another one that's just and then you can switch them around as you need different levels of torquages.
So the 6.
Yeah.
What else do you really need?
It's crazy. So I was just very, very impressed by it. That's just one of those things that's pretty good. And then pull one of the sockets off there real quick. Does it also have, okay, so that's not the one. So I bought another one that's a triple header.
It has a different.
And so under the socket at the end of the 1/4 inch drive is a hex driver. So no shit. So I will get that one. I'll let you fondle my tool. But I'm going to grab that thing because
It's much bigger than I thought it was going to be.
You have small hands, that's why.
That's true.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't. Look at these fucking things. They're
So this is a little. If this is one of those ones
yeah,
where if you see this thing anywhere, this might as well be called the Shuriken, because well, all of our video gamers from the 80s and 90s are like, oh yeah, we got that.
You got it, bitch.
Yeah, that's it. So this one, when you take the socket off, there's actually an like an M6 under there, right? So on this one, like when you take the bigger socket off, there's an M8 under there. So you not only do you have the 1/4 inch drive, but then you have an M8. So not only do you get 3/4 inch drives, but you get like an M4, an M6, and an M8 for, doing the things like the handlebar adjustments and stuff like that. So this is another one. See, it's
cool.
shaped like the Y.
Who gorilla handed this fucking thing? The top's already done.
I may have, things happen around here, right?
These aren't
Things happen.
musical enough. They should chime.
Yeah, they should chime in.
No,
the
they
wind.
do. You got to whack the ends. Here, listen.
Yeah,
listen
okay,
listen
he's
to
going to
that,
give us some
right?
music. Oh, yeah, that's lovely. Yeah. Working
better at
in a
whacking
coal
things
mine.
than I am.
You don't like ASMR, but you like the fucking dinging of the
Yeah,
pedal?
exactly.
Come on.
So anyway, we'll pass all the tools that way and then make sure they just end up on the floor.
In
And
my
if
bag.
there's fucking any pilfering, we're going to blame Chris Smith.
Okay, let me get these.
You can't
Yeah,
trust
exactly,
you
yeah.
can't trust a guy with a beard like that. That's what happens.
Yeah.
Or the guy at the end of the line.
Yeah, the guy at the end of the line is usually the guy who's the most dangerous and most least trustworthy.
You got it one piece at a
Easy for me
time.
to say. Yeah, fucking crazy.
He's gonna put
So-
on his Janus.
He is. Oh, he's divining. He's divining water.
He's going to keep
Oh, that's brilliant.
You're gonna use those tools on your Janus. Did you hear what I said?
My new
First Janus joke in 2 weeks, ladies and
I know.
gentlemen. Yeah,
the new
well,
move at the shop, the new move at the house shop is that no tools are being stored horizontally anymore. So like all my tools are being hung vertically. So I want to be able to see it. I like my whole thing now is I want to look at the wall and know who's present and accounted for.
Sorry, you're going to do the shit award with the lady.
I don't need to because I've actually been doing that. So I watch too much. Oh, fuck it, dude. You guys, I watch way too much AVE, right?
Yeah.
So I watch way too much AVE. And of course, his desk, the healing bench, looks like a fucking abortion,
mess.
right? It's a hot mess. But he's like, and I know he stole this from another podcast, but it's always be knolling, right? So it's always be knolling. And that's just like the natural habit of when you have a pile of wrenches, just always line them up. And when you take 18 things off your motorcycle, just line them up so you can see them. So when I'm in here prepping bikes and there's 96 screws to think about and, whatever, I just take them all out and I line them up. So then I can see that there's 4 of those, there's 4 of those, there's 8 of those, and there's 2 of those. Well, that gives you a pretty good idea where they're going to go because the count.
That
right?
was my, when we did the build-off challenge on the SSRs, and I kept saying, I'm like, man, I'm really bad tool and fastener discipline.
Yeah.
I normally like to keep my tools lined up, keep my fasteners lined up, and I was just throwing things everywhere, and then it was fucking me up.
Again, I screw shit up all the time, and that's my exact path. Is like, okay, wherever I took it off, make a line.
Yeah.
Take a picture before I do it. Put it in a line. Don't mix them up.
There is
Offord was getting fucked up with the
I like just
with the
throwing mine
tequila.
anywhere.
with the tequila. Ain't
he
that
still
the
hasn't
fucking
finished
truth? Yeah. Yeah, ain't that the fucking truth right there?
Offords is still the most ridden one, though.
You probably.
Yeah.
And there's probably 1,000 hours on that thing. So.
Hey, so I got a Janus question.
Oh, you got a Janus question? Okay.
Okay, Janus jokes. Here we
That
go.
was, that was a Janus joke.
Oh,
I'd like to switch out the clock on that thing to a clock from a Honda Monkey
A clock on what thing?
on a Janus.
Oh, on the Janus.
when
Yeah.
you're saying
Yeah.
clock, you mean speedometer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I
you're being
can't read
cool.
anything on that. It's
Oh.
like 1-point type on the whole
It is
thing.
rather small.
Yeah.
'Cause it's only like this big, right?
Yeah.
Is it mechanical?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to find out the ratio and then just you can.
Well, you would be probably talking about a whole headlight nacelle swap to fit something bigger in there, or you're going to be cutting a hole in it, or you know what I mean? Like if you want a bigger clock.
I thought the clock was next to the headlight. Is it?
It's just sitting up on top.
I thought it was in the head. I thought it was actually in the shell.
No, it's fine.
I stand.
So all you got to do is call them and ask them what the ratio is, and most of them are like 1,200 to
Yeah.
60 or something like that.
Figure out what the ratio is and you can replace the head.
Yeah, like even like lowbrow customs or like the ones I put on my 850 GS I got from there, and like I just had to tell them the ratio.
I like that units on the Monkey though. I mean,
Yeah.
you can see that from Tuesday.
Right.
So that the reference that I made earlier to always be knolling. So there's this thing that Tom Sachs does, and this is a YouTube channel you should watch, and it's called 10 Bullets. And the 10 bullets always be knolling He has 10 bullet points, and these are 10 bullet points that you would want to use to be better at whatever job you do, whether it's engineering or manufacturing or whatever.
But there's only 8.
Well, hold on.
I was going to point that out.
There's already been 2 fired, so this is 10.
Okay.
This particular one is called 10 bullets number 8. So this is the 8th bullet. And so in the series that Tom Sachs does. And we'll put a link in the show notes or something for this, because this is one of those things like when we kind of discovered AVE, that changed our worldview a little bit, right? So we picked up some strange things.
He's got too many rim fire.
Well, again, they're just bullets. they're rimfire of various different calibers too.
Keep your dick in a vice.
Exactly.
Over there.
So
There's only 2 in the center.
You're
Two in the center.
Right. Definitely 100%. Steve is getting very, very
ABC.
wrapped up into the always be closing.
Yes.
It's not always be closing. It's always be knolling. And so these 10 bullets, these 10 bullets from Tom Sachs are things that I think everybody should look up, because when you see the 10 bullets that he's talking about, these are 10 ways you can improve your workshop, 10 ways you can improve your interactions with machines, 10 ways that you can be better at keeping track of your shit that you paid money for, right? Because there's nothing worse than paying good money for shit, and then it's not where you left it, and you have to pay good money for it again. And now you have 2 of them where somebody else has 1.
I have parts that I've lost.
And I
never
bought again.
Yeah.
Right. I was like, I know I bought that carburetor. I fucking know I bought it. I know I bought it. And I know I put it on that shelf where I put things that I just recently bought.
Well,
and you're like, that's where it went.
That's a huge problem at my house, because I'll buy something and I know I'm going to go in the garage tomorrow, but I'm not going today. So I'll put it on a shelf or something. My wife comes over and is like, this fucking slob, and she puts it somewhere else.
Yes.
And then I come in, I'm like, fuck, where did that thing go? And then I buy another one, and then I go in the basement to clean the basement. I'm like, fuck, there's the thing. That's like,
Well, do you like to know what we call that at my house?
What's that?
We call that being the victim of a tidy. It cost us years off of our lives, because what are you doing? You're out, you're like, oh shit, I know where that is. And you spend the next hour and a half looking for it, because you don't want to ever admit that you lost something, because that would mean you're disorganized.
Right.
I call it, don't touch my shit.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Do you know how my wife fucking got to the top of that fucking hit parade? I had this amazing little tiny Ryobi drill. I mean, it's the smallest fucking ridiculous little Ryobi ever. 4 volts. 4 volts shouldn't be able to screw shit. But the thing fit in my prison wallet. Like, you could put this thing anywhere. You could smuggle this onto an airplane. But it was perfect for like going places you shouldn't go with a little power drill. My wife one day decided to clean up the little side table thing, the little cabinet that we had, since 1973. So she cleaned up the cabinet. I came in the house and I don't look in the cabinet every day. It's the shitty cabinet.
Yeah, right.
It's the tool junk cabinet, right? I don't look in there. And then one day I opened it up and I looked in there and it was all gorgeous. The mugs were stacked according to height and texture. And I was like, this is fucking great. But what the shit? And I'm like, this is going to create a problem in the future.
No.
Yeah.
Future me called and said, this is going to cause you a problem in the future. So I went out to the garage and I grabbed my little 4-volt Ryobi that gets used 4 times a year. And I grabbed it and it went, hey. And I was like, well, okay.
I need to charge it.
And I looked at it and it had the smallest little teensy little pin, charging pin. And I went, you know what though? I have the charging. I have the wall wart for this. I know right where it is. It's right where I left it. It's in the shit closet.
No.
And I went to the shit closet, and that rat's nest of little wall warts I have,
Gone.
it's like 23 years of wall warts. It's got them all. Even from the back in the old big 2-prong days. You use it on a waffle iron or use it on a drill.
Yeah.
Right? Perfectly safe. What's this for? Everything.
Yeah.
What does it do? It works your coffee pot, works your drill, works your, George Foreman.
Right.
Does everything. It's all the same size. Shoebox cassette recorder, same plug. Right? Everything in the world ran on that plug forever. Now it's got
One square side, one rounded side, and a slot in the center.
Exactly. Yeah. And then you just take your knife and round off the other one so you can use it either way. For the people that were fancy like Sanyo. So fuck those guys. But now we got 5 different flavors of USB. So, and you're like, I can't even see it. Now I know I'm going to break something. Now I go, hey, Merritt, darling, love of my life. When you cleaned out the shit closet, when you did that, I know that you probably grabbed that giant wad of black wall warts. You probably grabbed that. You probably put that in one of those blue giant eagle bags, right? You probably put it in one of those blue giant eagle bags, and you probably took it downstairs and stuck it on one of my shelves in the storage room. You probably did that,
Right?
right? No, I pitched it because I figured you hadn't used that stuff in forever.
Right.
Do you know what the feeling is?
Oh, yeah.
When you've lost one charger, you're like, minor inconvenience. If I need it right now, I'll strip the wires with my teeth and I'll just hold it real steady while it charges. I can do that. I've done worse. I've wired XLR cables to 1/8" plugs before. Soldered them and everything. It was beautiful. Just keep a nice air gap among everything and don't move. And you know what? I was like, well, that's one thing. But she threw away fucking 20 of them. I own equipment that I don't even know I can't charge yet. Put your brain in that fucking position. You own some shit you don't know you can't charge yet. Well, that's more than my brain can handle.
Back to the first rule.
Yep.
Don't touch my
Don't
shit.
touch my shit. Yeah. So then I bought one of those fancy little tiny power supplies that has like the 16 different heads.
adjustable.
Yeah. And don't get the one. Do not get the one with the little buttons on it. No. Those are all wrong. The resistors in there are all wrong. I've tested them. They're off by a lot. You got to get the one with the knob. So then you can take your marker, and you can okay, that's 3.0 volts. And now the display says it's 4.2, but my meter says it's 3.0. So I write 3.0 on that. And so this way we know what they actually are, not what they say they are. Because there's no better way to fuck up a piece of equipment you haven't used in 20 years.
You always have to bump it to the next one.
Oh.
And maybe you're close to the one.
Bump it to the next one until you see smoke come out of the thing. And then you know you've found the right voltage.
Exactly.
When it gets really warm,
you good.
Back it off one.
Turn it all the way up and then back it down.
You know, but these companies, so with all these plugs, they need to fucking centralize that shit. Because I'm so sick of having to pay attention to fucking positive center or negative center and all that.
And there's a polarity switch on there that you will forget. You're like, that was great on this one. Oh yeah, I caught it that time. I was careful. I read the back of the device. Polarity was tip. Okay, I switched it to tip polarity. No problem. Switched it to tip polarity. Life goes on. Operating my thing. Put the thing in the drawer. Come back later. Hook it up. And forgot about tip polarity.
Yep.
And now we see the smoke. Yep, that's it. But that's the point. When you throw away the original adapter, then you got to come up with loco shit like that. Or you got to invest like $200 in buying adapters for 20 items that are 20 years old.
Right.
Or have Nick make one.
Right.
Yeah.
You can swell the battery.
Yeah.
While you're watching it, you go, look, now I can hold more in it.
Yes. Yeah. Because a bigger battery is better, right?
Yeah, right. The smaller battery holds
There's more space between the lithiums.
Yeah.
You should have
My
just
favorite part about battery.
taken a bigger drill.
Right.
And put on that drill.
Yes.
And held the bigger drill.
Right.
Spun that drill until it recharged the other.
Until it recharged the other drill. That's brilliant. We should have done that.
Simple.
We have a corded drill.
Why didn't you think of
Why didn't I think of that? Why didn't I make Merritt do that? That would have been
better?
but you guys will know that today is my 20th.
You were inviting another tidying up somewhere else.
Exactly. Today's my 21st anniversary.
Oh,
and I'm here. I'm here. That's right. I'm here right now. 21st anniversary. I'm here. Yeah.
Drinking salty watermelon.
Salty watermelon bourbon. Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. In case Merritt won. And so she's going to California on Saturday morning. So she got approved for cross-country travel, and so she's going out to the meditation center, which is fucking awesome. And this makes the forever year in a row that Merritt has been out of town during Mid-Ohio, and therefore the misfits coming into town will not be able to meet Merritt.
Again,
these misfits have known me for years and have never met my wife.
Yeah,
they probably think she's made up.
Oh, completely. She's inflatable.
Yeah,
right.
Sure, Phil, you're married.
Clearly, yes, exactly.
Engineering wife.
Yeah, yes, exactly. I got a wife. She's from Canada. You never met her. She's from Niagara Falls. Yeah, and that's the fucking God's honest truth. So there's to that, being married for 21 years. Yay. And if you do want to be married for 21 years, I recommend maintaining a sense of intrigue in the relationship. That means always be changing. Never be the same person twice. It's better to just come at them with somebody new about every 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Yep. It keeps them on their back foot. Really. They don't get bored as much. Yeah. That's good. And if you can get them into meditation and yoga stuff, that's a good idea too.
My wife's been wondering who the fuck I am for the last, for a long time.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And now that you got a job and
I don't blame her.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Corporate Steve.
So
Corporate Steve.
I forgot that a lot of people don't have the same sense of humor that most of us do.
Yeah.
So obviously we're looking at some houses and doing stuff.
Yeah.
And so this one that we're looking at, there's a lot of people coming, and I happened to mention, I'm like, well, I might stay here later after work with a baseball bat and deter anybody else coming. And my wife was like, that's not fun. The realtor was looking at me in horror. Like, I'm not sure if he's serious or not.
Yeah, where's he going with this?
Yeah,
I'd be like, no, I'm just kidding. I'm just teasing. Baseball bats aren't threatening enough.
Jazz hands.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I'm just going to be out front with 3 or 4 motorcycles, really fucking loud motorcycles. We're going to drive the property value down before we buy it. It's great. It's the best idea ever. Yeah. And if you have a house in Cleveland, like fucking shitty Cleveland, where we live, you can't lose money on it right now. It's like, I might want to sell my house. And by the time you've had the thought, there's 18 offers coming in on the Amazon.
Let me put it this way. This morning, this house came online at 11.
Yeah.
I got the call at 11:01.
Right.
I happened to leave work and go see it at 12.
Right. And Jeff Bezos had already bought it.
No,
it's an Amazon distribution center now.
We put an offer in at 12:05, and there were 7 other offers by 2.
Well, of course. Absolutely.
And now at 5, there's 15 offers.
Of course there are.
Yeah. So I'm not getting a new house.
And on my street, we're seeing like stalwarts, people who've lived there forever. Who were supposed to die in their home.
Yep.
And
now they're thinking it'd be nicer to die in Miami.
I can die in a really nice home.
No, they're going to die on the street.
I could die in a really small apartment. With a lot of money.
I mean, they're taking whatever, $200,000 they just got for their house paid off and going out somewhere and either getting a condo or something like that.
I would be thinking about if I had $200,000 and like a week and a half to live, or whatever these people on your street do. I'm going to be optimistic, a month and a half to live.
Or move in with your kids.
Yeah, I would move in with my kids and I would be super splashy with the money.
Or they're like, how long does a cruise last?
Right.
There you go. House diagonal from me, right? Like, never been in it. Never saw anyone actually come out of this house. Like the one time their watering system went all ass up and like pouring out everywhere, knocking on. No one ever comes out. Never seen anyone in this house. Goes up for sale. See the pictures online. This thing hasn't been touched since the 40s. Mm-hmm. Like horrible everything. Sold for well more than my house did years. I'm going, everything in this house has to be done and gutted. They had offers going. It was ridiculous.
Well, it's crazy. When you look at the Zillow stuff right now, right? The house will be like, bought at 65, and then it was 105 for like 27 years, and then the line goes like this and up through the top of it, and it's like 1.6 million for Parma, and you're like, what?
What the hell?
That's better than me. I bought on the bubble, right? So literally, my line was like, woo, and then went, boom!
Everyone has a 14.9%.
You didn't buy on the bubble and then have your wife ask you for a divorce 3 months later. That was fucking great too.
I had my brother look at me and go, "Oh, you bought a house?" Bubble pops. He goes, "I just paid $49,000 for my house." Oh, and I said,
"Yeah. Well, there you go."
Exactly, quite literally.
Yeah, it is when we're talking about this stuff. When you've got the compound out there in Oberlin. And we're sitting there and we're riding dirt bikes in a circle, right? And we're forgetting how much fun we're having on his compound because he bought that. And now when because he bought that, we have a place to go have fucking fun, right? Like we literally have a playground because Steve bought a 3-acre chunk of property. And I talk to people every day that are just like, holy shit, you have 3 whole acres to play around on? And I'm like, yeah, it feels a little small. Like, I don't think we could do 150s. I'm thinking 125s are about as big as we're going to be allowed to have on the compound. I don't think, like, I'm not going to take the 290 out or anything. Like, I wouldn't want to get hurt. It was like, we have just enough property for the size of the little minuscule dopey motorcycles we have.
Like, but you could probably sell. I could probably double my money right now.
Oh, there's no doubt in my mind.
I'll give you a price for it right now.
Exactly.
But there's no way I'm selling
at this table.
No.
My kid wants me to sell my house in Lakewood.
Really?
And I'm like, I'm not selling my house. I don't care.
Her? To them? To Patrick? Or who?
Yeah. No, he's like, just sell it. You get $500,000 from it. I'm like, I don't want to sell my house.
Oh, dude, you'll get more than that. So I was talking to the realtor. There was a house in Lakewood. It was a hoarder house.
Right.
There was one trail from the front door to a back room where there was only enough room for this woman to sit on a stack of shit. Yeah. like they said, if an ember hit it, the whole house would
whole thing's gone. Yeah.
Investors came in and the lady said, well, because she wanted to move to Florida. And so she was asking $75,000 for this house.
Right.
The realtor said, let me take care of that. I'll get you better than that. Right. So she listed it at 159. It's like as is, you need to clear 59 years of fucking hoarder out of this house. Investors came in, got into a bidding war, 425.
Yeah. Well, and there
it's
we
under
go. 2,000
square feet in Lakewood.
And Cleveland Moto's latest real estate chat.
I just think it's stupid because then now they're going to gig us on our real estate taxes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Look, we all said when you buy a motorcycle, what you don't do is you don't buy a motorcycle that's worth more than the motorcycle is going to be when you drive it off the lot so that you have to buy gap insurance. That's a really bad move. When you have to pay more insurance than the vehicle is actually worth because of like the Harley Davidson thing where they took an $18,000 motorcycle and put $12,000 worth of shit on it.
Right.
Well, if you get in a crash tomorrow, you're only going to get a check for $10,000, you know, and that won't cover the $25,000 worth of flare you bought. So we're in a position, right? Well, when you need to buy gap insurance for your house, when you're like, okay, well, you bought a house for $200,000 that's only worth $50,000.
Right.
And so since somebody loaned you the money to do that, we need to have this extremely expensive insurance policy over here in case you catch a bus in the asshole that you are going to have somebody be able to pay for that fucking house. So the bank doesn't end up holding your house that's all worth $60,000 again. That happens. And when you're in that position, that's what we like to say. That's a consumer warning. Like if you're sitting there going, it's great that you're buying this house. That's great. Now its value is about $60,000, but you're paying about $180,000. Well done. Now buy this insurance to go with it. You're getting fucked, man. You're getting fucked.
I'm still thinking about the fact that somewhere, if you search deep enough, there's a podcast that talks about buses and assholes.
What, catch a bus in your asshole? That's my new go fuck your head.
I believe that this is kind of a bubble, but I think it's going to stick around for a little. I think it's going to be a permanent shift in prices in Cleveland area.
Right.
Yeah.
Because so much real estate has changed hands at these prices.
Yeah.
That people aren't going to get, they're going to take such a loss.
And I think that even the hardcore Californians are realizing it's hot and dry out there.
Yeah.
And it's moist and cool in Cleveland, and we have a limitless supply of drinking water.
No volcanoes.
Right. No volcanoes.
No big
I
faults.
think Cleveland's finally catching up with some of the metropolitan areas where if you live within 15 minutes of downtown, the baseline for a house is at least 250, 300.
That's true.
I mean,
that's true.
I'm hoping that it holds around because like I get the hell out of where I'm at. I bought the house because it was on the highway, used to travel everywhere. Again, tons of miles on my bike because I use it for work and traveled all over Ohio. And was great. Now I got a kid. I'm like, all right, I can't live here. Like, you don't leave them outside. You sleep with one eye open.
Right. So freeway access was the most critical part of your house choice. And now you're like, a yard would be nice without gunfire.
You got that right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah,
too.
We do have a lot of our friends call us every once in a while. Like, is everybody okay in Cleveland? And we're like, what the fuck's going on? Well, we heard there were 7 shootings last night. And you're like, that's Tuesday. Okay, that's great.
Well, last week.
Only 7?
Only 7.
That's a good day.
Right.
Last week, my buddy was working on my kitchen. He's putting some tile in for me at my house. And him and my wife both texted me, I think our house got shot. And I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, we heard a bang and there was debris falling off the side of the house. And so I still haven't found the bullet hole, but like that alone was like, well, all right. Yay, Cleveland Heights.
Well, crime would go down if they just removed the bridges over the Cuyahoga River.
Oh, yeah. Well,
just that.
Just that one thing.
You haven't even finished it.
You guys will remember a couple of weeks ago, we talked about Norton and their ongoing troubles there at Donington, right?
Oh, yeah.
At the, the Donington Abbey, right?
Donner party?
At the Donington, yes, the Donington party. So, it's like, Morton Motorcycles was being run out of a castle at Donington Racetrack, yay. And pretty cool and pretty badass. And we were at the Isle of Man watching, John McGinnis rail one around the TT course. And that was all real and it happened. We saw it. And we did see his 650 blow up more than once. There were a couple he had to walk in, but that was a real thing and that happened. So, but then financially speaking, something happened where they lost everything. I mean, they just lost all of it. They had taken investor money. Yeah, they'd taken investor money from all these lovely people who thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take my retirement. I'm going to invest in a nice British company. And what's a better nice British company than Norton? Right? It's exactly it. And they've been around for goddamn ever. The problem was it was run by a guy that really didn't seem to have a lot of hope in getting it right, or a lot of hope in sort of making it other than marketing. right? And so there was a lot of money put in marketing, a lot of money put into the fantasy of owning a Norton high-performance motorcycle. And then it became pretty clear to a lot of people real quick that this guy was taking the money and literally, when the guy you've invested your money in has said, I'm putting my factory inside a fucking castle, think about your investment.
Yeah, right.
Right? Yeah. I mean, come on. Who's the guy that was out there loaning Prince money to buy stuff in the 90s, right? Prince is just, he's not the guy who makes these super great financial decisions that you're going to be great for, you're so happy with. Like, that's a great example of Donington Castle and Norton. So, but it did fail and it was going to go away and it was going to go away and then it got rescued. Well, it got purchased, right? So the thing got bought. And sometimes when you buy something, you're like, I'm so glad I bought that because it's got 150 years of history. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be proud to take over the helm of the brand and everything else. And I'm going to be proud to support these loyal Norton customers. And I'm going to be proud that they're going to come and be nice enough to give me their business.
Yeah.
Except now.
Yeah.
Oscar, bring us up to speed.
All right. So the issue came up with and I don't know if you can bring up the picture of
what would you like to see?
The V4SS.
V4SS, coming at you.
So that one, I think it came out, or the one that has the issue.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry, issues.
Issues, plural.
Was made from mid 2019 and 2020.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So this bike started having issues, and they were a little concerned. And then it turned out that they didn't have one, not two, not 10, but 35 issues.
What, the one single bike had 35?
One single bike had 35
because,
issues.
if Oscar was having trouble running his company and he'd been building some motorcycles and he had good brand loyalty and everything else, but he can't swing it, I'm going to go in and rescue the company. I'm going to basically pay his debt that he owes everybody in the world money. I'm going to pay the debt. I'm going to get the keys to the castle, and I'm going to make the decision to keep on making motorcycles. Well, then I'm going to feel like, the people that pre-ordered motorcycles with Oscar, a lot of people that pre-ordered motorcycles with Oscar and gave $40,000, $50,000 for these motorcycles, then I'm going to say, well, thank you very much. I bought your house. I got your customers too. Let's go ahead and let's fulfill the orders for these customers.
I didn't buy the debt.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is the big problem with the deal, because the bikes that were promised to people and the bikes that were delivered to people were fucking tragic.
Yeah, and people are really scared because of that situation in general. I mean, it's just, they don't know what the new company is going to do with it.
Is the power out?
And it's not just small issues. It's 35 of them. 20 of them are full on recalls.
Really?
Wait a second. 20 recalls for one motorcycle?
No. So out of those 35, 20 are full on recalls.
Right.
10 are over checks.
Okay. Right.
And then 5s are, well, while you're at it. No, actually, those I'm sorry, I take that back. Those 10 are over checks, but those are for finding other potential
Since you're
issues
in there.
with it.
And
the last 5s are for
and one of them's an ex-wife issue too.
yeah, for all the money that you're spending. So
read off some of these things that if you were the guy that either got one of these motorcycles or if you were thinking about getting one of these motorcycles, you might have to look forward to.
So randomly, do you want to hear the effects of the problems?
Oh,
or the
sure.
Okay.
Oh, bring it on.
Just potential recall, like effects of the problems. Oil spills on the rear wheel. Fuel leaks resulting in just
fire.
The engine seizing.
Okay.
Gearbox locking.
Anal leakage.
That's probably part of it. Yeah, that's after you have the problem.
Okay.
ABS operation not fully tuned for its full potential.
Right. Okay.
Loose gear wheel, or full on ABS failure.
Yep.
Short circuits on the ECU.
Yeah, there you go. That's a big one.
That could be a problem. Fire risk as well. Rear brake per operational, just not working at all. What else? Yeah, there's
37 highlighted items. There's 37 things on this list
that'll fuck you up.
That will fuck you up. So the company TVS that bought them originally was like, in order to maintain good faith between us and our customers, we're going to stand behind the products that were sold to our customers so that they can be happy knowing that they've invested well in the Norton brand. And then they saw that list and they went, you're all fucked.
Oh,
and they literally have said, we are not going to do this. We're not going to take care. What we will do is we'll give you an excellent trade-in on purchasing a new motorcycle.
Oh, there's
one that doesn't burst into
working
flames.
motorcycle.
Yeah,
This is if Elio ever actually became a car. This is what we have to look forward to.
Oh, yeah.
Just so we're clear.
So I missed a really nice one. Throttle jamming open.
Oh, wide open throttle.
Just wide open throttle.
Not a problem.
Would there be a problem? Nah.
It's got a clutch. You just pull the clutch in. You're fine.
I mean, keep in mind that TVS, the company that bought them, TVS has been everything ever, and it's Indian. And this is like, TVS has done many, many things. And TVS is, I believe that they are, well, they're Indian for sure, but they've been in charge of Jaguar, God, Jag. But yeah, they've appointed Sir Ralph Speth. Mm-hmm. Of course, he's a sir. Yeah, of course, he's been knighted. Right. Yeah. And so he was at Jaguar Land Rover for 11 years, and he's widely acclaimed for transforming the company into the global force it is today.
He got run out of there.
He's now literally
scrapping around trying to find himself a job.
Scrapping a motorcycle company. Like, what do you think the curtains are worth? What do you think the hydraulic press in the corners are worth? We bought this, and now we realize the whole motorcycles with giant air quotes that these people were selling aren't real motorcycles. And now we can't even live up to the promises we made of supporting the people that are our customers or were the customers when we bought the company. It's a screwed up deal. So I'm very curious to see, because I want the Norton thing to stay around. I love the concept of Norton. and I love old Norton. I love old Norton motorcycles. I think they look great. They feel great. I've owned 2 of them and I love them. So I really can say that I hope they do it right, but God, is this a shit sandwich.
Yeah, and I started looking because I remember the John McGinnis bike when we were
absolutely.
there. Yeah. And I started looking, it's like, which way was he actually riding? And it was the V4.
The V4, right.
So I started looking into it, and I saw an interview that they did with him, and he said on that Isle of Man, the 2019, that he was shitting himself every time he had to ride that bike because he didn't know what thing was going to fall out of it or what was going to go wrong, just wrong with it.
And that's your company spokesman being paid millions of dollars to ride one race on your motorcycle.
And we saw it break in front of us.
We did see it break. That's one thing when somebody says, we saw it break in front of us. No. In one of the only jumps in the whole goddamn race, the motorcycle stopped motorcycling. So it's a thing that's super, you got to get it right. So if you don't get it right, there's a bar that you can drive through. Well, mostly it just kills people.
It mostly just stop.
You just hit the bar about 6 feet up in the air, 7 feet up in the air, and you die instantly. But it's a jump in the middle of a race course, and it's not just a jump, it's a jump in the middle of a turn. That's a bridge that people live next to. And if that's the place where your motorcycle stops motorcycling and starts being a lawn chair or whatever else it's going to turn into through its improbability drive, that is a fucking bad sign. And we saw it happen. We watched that bike. It was whoa, and you're like, oh shit, something bad just happened. And he instantly, you could see when he came across the bridge, everyone else jumped 30 feet across the bridge and he flopped it out. He flopped it over. And you could see he was going, I can get a pint in there. And he did. He fucking pulled the bike over the wall, leaned the bike against the wall and went in and was like, hey, big ol' fag. And I was like, we're sitting there. I was like, that dude, somebody bought him a beer. He's coming out in his bright silver baked potato leathers.
Yeah.
And not a tiny guy. Not anybody would be accused of being tiny. He's not like most GP racers who weigh 8 pounds. This is a man who eats a cheeseburger. And he comes out and he's he gets a cigarette and everyone's talking to him and he's like, yeah, fucking bike blew up. You're like, what happened? It fucking popped. Yeah.
But now it kind of makes sense because he was definitely I knew there was shit going.
Oh, he was super not happy with it.
And he even said they stiffed me for $60,000 in salary stuff when this whole shit was going on.
Oh, when the transition happened?
The transition was going, it was no, they stiffed me.
Who are we going to pay? We're not going to pay John. Yeah. Oh man, fuck that.
And the new company Indian already said that they're already working on the newest version of the V4.
Yeah.
And that's scaring people even more.
And they tried don't know what the fuck. And they brought out a 650 to run in the super lights. Right. Because we were watching the super lights race and we were like, oh, we like the super lights race. It's super competitive. All the bikes are 650s. So that's a little more approachable. And then we're like, what the fuck is Norton going to run? Does Norton have a 650? Well, they cobbled one together for the race. And so they did. They put a 650 together for the race.
They bought a Honda.
Dude, it was a Versys.
I want the Norman Hyde.
The Norman Hyde, exactly.
Norton, because the Norman Hyde for years has been making every piece
you could buy
for any old Norton.
Absolutely.
I would just go buy the whole
shooting match.
Build a whole brand new Norton from the ground up.
Build it from the ground up. Parts bike.
And it is a beautiful looking bike.
Yeah.
And the sound it makes, it's unique.
It's unique. It's
really
awesome.
unique.
It was very fun. Like it was a big part of the excitement.
Remember the guy who had the Norton Commando down the street from the old shop?
Yeah, absolutely.
He stopped by. He wanted to trade me for my CB750.
He owns a number of Cleveland properties.
Yeah.
We're not going to say his name out loud, but but he owns a lot of Cleveland real estate, and he's got.
It was so tempting. I'm like,
a bunch of old cool bikes.
I'm like, no, I've got a CB750 that runs great.
Yeah.
Does not give me a hassle.
That's exactly
I go 125 mile an hour all day long. Like, I'm not trading it on that old Norton.
I felt the same way about my BSA, about my Gold Star.
Like that bike's a little clappity.
Yeah, it was fun owning that BSA, and it was a really good bike to own. But by the same token, it was like I knew that 70 miles an hour meant something was probably not going to be there when I arrived at my destination. Some little piece of the motorcycle wasn't going to be there anymore. And one time it was the shifter. And like when you get back, you're getting off the freeway and you downshift and there's just nothing there. And you're like, oh, fuck. And you look down, you're like, there's really nothing there. I can't shift with anything.
You can not use your clutch, but you cannot not use your shifter.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, and I was like, that was the deal. And because it was a BSA, everything's on the wrong side. So everything was where it shouldn't be. Nice.
Jesus, man.
My goodness.
I must have fallen asleep. When did we switch over to talking about Harleys all of a sudden?
Exactly, right.
We're going to call you Twitch instead
No,
of
I
Cinch.
thought it was a bee.
Right.
It felt like a bee or something was stinging me, man. Fuck.
It was nice.
What are they giving you at that new job?
It's the pesticides I've been sniffing them at work.
That's it. You're deep heavy into the pesticides. Yeah.
Vice grips make a good shifter.
Yeah. And the vice grips, and that was that thing, was I always have a Gerber tool with me. So I'm the guy who's pulling up to the light, and I've got the clutch in. So I've got the clutch in. I'm like, okay, so here's the move. The move is going to be clutch in, Gerber tool out with the wrong hand, reach down, grab the shift shaft so I can put it into neutral.
You got to step off the bike, shift it, step back on the bike.
Yep, exactly. And I was like, can I make this all happen while I'm still rolling down, decreasing speed to the light so I can just put it in second? Because I know in second I can do anything, or third I can do anything, because I was in top gear. So I was like, shit. And it didn't work. So I got there and just fucked it all up. And I got there, it's like, okay, just push the bike of shame, got the clutch in, just kill the motor and just push over to the side of the road. And then, okay. Manually select third gear, and just go. And the shifter is something you need on an old British motorcycle. You can't really live without it.
Drove my Corvette all the way out of the Metro Parks back to my house and into my garage with no clutch.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Because you could turn it over and it would start. So I was just like, I was coming up to a light. I put it in neutral.
You started on the battery. Go.
Put it in neutral, stop, turn it off.
Yeah.
Light, put it in gear.
Yeah.
Light turns.
Oh, man. Good, man. Strong battery. Yeah. Strong battery, big flywheel. That's a very good thing. Yeah, that gear ratio on that starter is pretty healthy, I guess. No shit. Anybody got anything else?
No, but so next week, we're dropping this podcast.
Right.
And then we will, when you hear this, we will be on our way to Ohio.
Fuck yeah, dude. Yeah.
And so we're doing what, a mashup with the Misfits, right?
We are. So we're going to do a misfit with the mashups.
Yes.
Yeah, it'll be the Misfit mash. But yeah, we're going to do the 10 best bikes of Mid-Ohio.
Okay.
Right? Or Mud-Ohio. We'll see what the weather's like.
Oh, geez.
And we'll be camping. So by the time you get this, we'll be, when you get in the campsite. So if you're looking for the ClevelandMoto group, if you're looking for the Misfits, when you get into the campsite, you get through that gate. You've come around the corner. They call the keyhole. When you come around that part of the track and you get into the campsite, there'll be somebody there asking you for some permission to get into the campsite, or maybe not. If you're on a bike, they just fucking wave you through. Mm-hmm. But anyway, when you get in, look as far away as you can look. Look as far as the eye can see. And it just goes on.
Two-stroke cloud.
It just goes on and on and on. So if you go to the right, a hard right, you can't get onto the track, right? So you're going to walk to the right. You'll walk all the way down, and then when you run out of road, you'll make a left and walk all the way down. Now, that's for people who like to operate 90-degree angles.
Right.
I'm more of a shortest distance between 2 points kind of guy.
Yep.
So when you clear that little gate, there's, ice machine there or whatever in a place, and there'll be some like porta showers and johns up there. Just go at a dead 45 degree angle.
To the corner.
Yep. Literally just go. And as it happens, it is not true north. It is northwest the way you're walking. So the way you're walking will be at a diagonal and just keep going. And you'll go all the way to the fucking corner. And when you see trouble, when you're like, this is a bad neighborhood, that's where we are. Right.
And if you're a person that gets there like on Friday or Saturday and you're kind of confused, just look for the really Camaro looking dudes with like the 3/4 helmets on trials bikes heading into the woods.
Yeah, that's a
and
good
then
sign
hang
too.
a left.
Right. That's a good sign too. Right. Because we're over by the trials and stuff like that.
Yep.
But it is very, very easy to find us. Even though we don't have a school bus this year, it'll still be very easy to find us. Also, it's just like, we're the Cleveland-Moto guys, and anybody will point you to where
The
we are.
weather's looking great.
The weather is looking great. This is not the year that you want to miss Mid-Ohio.
High of 81. Little chance of rain on Thursday, but Friday, Saturday, maybe a little rain on Sunday.
Okay. Well, I'd like it if it rained on Sunday later in the day. I don't want to put away, but it would be the greatest thing. Wouldn't it be the greatest thing to be back at Mid-Ohio after the COVID and have a full 3-day Mid-Ohio without being muddy?
I don't want that.
No.
I want the mud.
You don't want a perfect Mid-Ohio?
The perfect Mid-Ohio is
mud.
Is mud.
Oh, I disagree. I disagree strongly.
It has to be at least
so fucking wrong.
But
it has to be a little greasy.
I wonder if they had enough time to grow a decent amount of grass that they didn't have to add manure to the
it.
fucking thing.
That's a good point.
That'd be
this will be the hardest Mid-Ohio's ever been.
Yeah.
It has to rain a little bit. It has to get a little bit fun.
Well, in your tent, it'll be moist no matter what.
Hey,
so.
he's got a camper.
Oh,
he's got a camper, dude. He's got a fucking camper.
Well, that's assuming he can make its way out of J-Town.
I'm going to tell you, Liza called me today. Liza said, hey, she doesn't camp. Like, she's not a hell of a camper. So she bought a cot and she's having the cot shipped here.
Okay.
And then she's like, when the Mid-Ohio's over, can I just leave it there and that'll be Liza's cot? And I was like, you bet your ass you can. That'll just be your cot forever. That'll be Liza's Ohio cot.
As in, we're going to leave it sitting right there in the field.
We're just going to wrap pink caution tape around it. It'll be awesome. It will be great. Liza's cot.
Waiting for you next year.
Right.
Cam will be under it.
Yeah, no, it'll just be covered in
one hole cut in the cot.
Yeah, it'll just be covered in blood from Cam.
The glory cot. The glory cot. Yeah. Oh, it's such a bad thing, man. Cam, we love you. We don't really think that Liza should rape you again. That was kind of a one thing. We should never do that again. You got anything else?
Nope.
Fuck it, man.
I got a tech tip if it was
fire away, Chris.
Okay.
So, sorry, this is something I keep running to is older bikes.
Yeah.
Everyone's switching to LEDs and they've been doing it for years, but you got a single indicator light, right? So everyone tells you got to like solder in diodes, right?
You got to add resistance, man. Otherwise, your flash unit won't work.
No, not resistance, because that just generates heat, right? And that sucks. You just wasted while you switched to LEDs.
Right. Yep.
So you could solder in diodes if you want to, and they'll tell you to solder them right between your single bulb.
Yep.
Or you can get or if it's fused by itself, you can get one of Nick DeVito's
Magic fuses. Flashing fuses. Yeah. But anyway.
What you can do is you get a non-polar LED.
Right.
And you put it in there, and you don't need either one because the diodes are already in the LEDs. Takes care of everything for you.
A non-polar LED literally has a diode.
Correct.
That's because it's a light emitting diode.
That's right.
So it's in the name.
Right? But you can't just pick up like a normal LED and expect it to work. It has to be a non-polar. And I fight with people all the time about this.
Yeah.
And so
you can't buy, you're not buying a bulb that's already built with non-polarized LEDs inside. What you have to do is you have to buy the little boards of the non-polarized LEDs and just.
You can buy an LED that's non-polarized, all built into a tiny little light socket. Snap it in. You're good to go.
All right, but it doesn't come like as an 1157 base.
Yeah.
Oh, it does.
It does. Like I fought with people on the internet. Like I made a video showing you guys have been doing this for years. I'm telling you, buy this $3 LED in whatever color you want. Slap it in there. You're done. They're like, no. I made a video showing it. They're like, no, that doesn't work.
Oh,
I'm like, well, here's the part. Here's how you do
You
it.
have two diodes like opposing, so one is getting it one way, you have the other one as load, and then you have the other one.
Cross like this, right? The diodes are like that.
You're
But they're inside the bulb, right? So literally, you just push in and done.
No, you can, and there it is. I mean, for anybody anybody who wants to doubt it, there it is. It's a 2-pack of 1157's non-polarity LED light. So non-polarity. So right there, it's specifically in the name is that it is a non-polarity. So that's the secret. The phrase that pays, as they
It's
say.
not necessarily non-polarity.
goes in the show notes.
Polarity is always right.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Because LED is
Exactly.
the polarity is always right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can either do it at the 1157s or you can do it at the indicator bulb itself.
Right. There you go. That's really good. And that's excellent because that is a thing we joked about all the time. We're like, yeah, so you want to have all those LEDs, but you want your lights to flash correctly. Well, I got bad news for you.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, you can either buy a digital flash unit, which is another great way around the solution because now your flash unit doesn't really draw anything. So your flash unit draws almost nothing and your bulbs draw almost nothing. So now your voltage regulator might actually really charge your battery, which we know it hasn't for a long, long time. But because the answer is never, oh yeah, you got to put resistors, you got to put diodes, you got to build up resistance into that LED so it'll throw your switch in your 500 watt flash unit, you know?
Right. And I don't have 4-way flashes going all the time.
All the time. Yes. And that was another one too. All the bikes come into the shop and you're like, left turn, all 4 are going.
Right.
And you're like, yeah, that's a fail. I know what you did there and it didn't work, did it? And then everything on the bike is also doing that too, which is my favorite part. Because like people just like, I just put LED bulbs in everything. And I'm like, sure. And they flip the switch and you're like, even the fucking speedo bulb is pulsing. Yeah. And you're like, how did that happen? Like, that's not even on the same circuit. We know that's incandescent, but it's sitting there and it's going that like that too. And I'm like, oh, fucking stupid. Yeah, that's a great tech tip. I like that. So look at that. Bringing the hits. Awesome. And what you got, Dan?
Hey, did I tell you guys I saw an R18 in the wild?
Wow. Was it under Jackie Van Ham?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say that's the only R18 I've ever seen in the wild was under Jackie Van Ham.
So my buddy Nick and I are riding in the metro parks,
Yeah.
and we stopped in a parking lot. We're pulling out, and this guy pulled in on this
Yeah.
cruiser, and I'm like, "That's an R18."
Yes, it is.
I go over and talk to him for a second, and he just like deer in the headlights, like he's completely overwhelmed.
Yeah.
We talk for a minute, and he's like, "Yeah, I only ever rode scooters before."
Oh, Jesus.
And I'm having a hard time getting used to this bike.
Yeah, you are.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a hell of a... And literally on that motorcycle, you have a 7-pound piston on the left side and a 7-pound piston on the right side. And it's just kind of playing that game all the time. You have a lot of uncentralized mass. Wow.
Say, how much do you want for that $1,000 bike?
Yeah. Trade you a Vespa. That's it. I make you a hell of a deal on a Vespa. Yeah. Because that's something. But yeah, the only one I've ever seen being ridden in the wild was Jackie, riding BMW as a BMW spokesperson. So yeah, that's cool. Nothing else? Fuck it, let's get out of here. Ride fast, take chances. Bum, 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 bum.